Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, February 2nd. We have a great show planned for you tonight. A lot of stuff is going on, as usual, but we do have a lot to cover tonight. Trump card has been showing his ass, so we got to talk about that a little bit tonight. I did run across some other information that I want to share with you in the news, and then the topic for tonight is You Are the Alien. So I am going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to bring in Brother Wendell. I think I see him, so let me bring him in. Let me see here. Brother Wendell, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, how you doing tonight, brother?
Trying to get me some squash prep to get something down the gut. You know what I'm saying?
You trying to eat you some greens or whatever? I could put you back on.
I got to have me some squash. No, I'm good.
Oh, okay then. You trying to eat some squash tonight, huh?
Yeah, I got to get the prep. I had to get the prep work in. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. What kind of squash? Butternut squash?
Now, they're yellow squash and some zucchini.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's the bomb. Yep. You cook it right, have your little seasoning on it. So I hear you.
I might go and do it the proper way and go eat it raw. I eat it both ways. It don't make no difference.
Okay. I don't like to eat it raw. I don't have no flavor to me. But, to each his own, still good for you nonetheless. Well, okay. A lot of crap has been happening. Of course, I try not to talk unnecessarily about Trump card, but he been, dropping so much stuff. We kind of talked about this last week that we have to be careful as people to not only not look at anybody as a savior, but I'm including him as well, because I was seeing some people trying to make it seem like he's going to turn the system upside down, this, that, and the third, woo. And so I made the statement last week that I feel that he is going to play both sides of the house. Yeah, he's going to shake some things up, but yet he's still going to follow protocol as well. So,
hey, I got a question.
Uh-huh.
How can he turn it upside down when they already operate upside down and backwards?
Yeah, they do. Well, let's say right side up, because allegedly and supposedly some people running around here thinking that he gonna turn it right side up. And it's not going to happen that way. He's going to put, he's the Trump card. So, he can move the game either way and kind of play both sides. And, we're definitely seeing this specifically. I want to first, let's talk about, let me see, because I saw so much shit on him that I wanted to discuss. I want to make sure I get it in order. Okay, let's start with the United Nations. I don't think we talked about this last week, but he is putting forth for the U.S. court to withdraw from the United Nations. Now, this kind of started rumbling late last year, like they always do when folks try and prepare for the holidays, this, that, and the third, so it really don't get much attention. But now it's coming to the forefront, and he's supporting that the United States withdraw from the United Nations. And so last week I went into an article that the New York Times had posted about him looking at all treaties, specifically global treaties, and kind of going over how things are funded. And specifically, he yanked funding from Palestine because Prezzo had put something in place to give Palestine some change, and Trump pretty much blocked that when he came into office and said, you know, that's not being fair to our friend Israel, and we haven't been treating them right, woo-woo, this, that, and the third. Okay, so he started off with a bang. Now, this week, and I'm sure you guys have heard it in the news, he has been setting everything in a blaze talking about this immigration stuff. Now, this runs deep, this immigration. I'm going to get to it in a minute, just to give you a little backstory on it. Okay, so he basically wrote a little executive order telling people, putting a travel ban on people from certain nations. So it was like Iran. I should have had the nations, you all, so forgive me. All of the nations were pretty much the Muslim nations, okay? So anybody that was traveling, trying to travel back in to or visiting or whatever the case may be from those nations, they were not allowed entry back in. So, of course, some people that were on student visas that either were about to expire or expired, they pretty much locked out if they were traveling overseas from one of those nations. Some folk had went on vacation. They kind of live over here permanently, but their paperwork ain't in order. So they went on traveling, do, this, that, and the third, went on weddings. So they're stuck. They can't get back into the nation. So now people are up in arms over that. Protests have been happening around the nation. I just saw a video on YouTube that a brother posted. I'm sorry, on Facebook that a brother posted. I'm not sure when it happened. He was at a Trump car, had a little press conference. So this press guy, and he was of, they call him Arab descent. I hate that term, but just to put you into perspective. So he got ready to ask a question. He was really saying a statement saying, you know, you just can't ban 11 nations. So Trump car pretty much was like, sit down, shut up. I'm not talking to you. So the man was like, I have a right to ask this question. And Trump car goes, you need to get out of this country. Get him out of here. So next thing you know, whoever his little Trump car's little folks are comes and tell the man, you know, you got to get to stepping about the little press conference. And so you're being rude, this, that, and the third. And so the man was like, I'm just trying to ask my question. You talking out of term. So he puts the man up out the little press conference. So the man that put the man out of the press conference, the man said, I am with the press. Show me your credentials. Here's my credentials right here. Still didn't matter. They still kicked his ass out. So the little man up in the hallway still saying, you know, this is not right. Y'all done put me up out the press conference, this, that, and the third. So one of Trump's guys said, you need to go back to your country. So the little press man said, but I'm a citizen. I'm a U.S. citizen. Well, you still not getting in. So then the little video ended, okay? So this is the environment that they're creating around this immigration, okay? So the other part we're going to discuss tonight regarding Trump card that I want us to pay attention to, because you're going to know why in just a second. But I got to set the scenario for when I go into the other stuff, is land. Now, the folks, that pipeline situation, that's South Dakota, okay? So O&M had stopped building the pipeline because it was running right through the quote Native Americans' land, their reservation, and it was going to be destructive to their environment. Okay, so protests broke out last year over that, this, that, and the third. It was put on hold. Trump started it back up. So that's another issue people are protesting against. Okay, so in the midst of that, now if that ain't enough, I've been watching because by trade, I'm in the tech industry, so information technology, okay? So I runs across an article this week from the Wall Street Journal. Brother Wendell, I'm going to put you on mute. You got a lot of background noise. Okay. All right, now I'll bring you back in just a second. And so in addition to all of that going on, in the IT world, everybody is kind of like very, very nervous and scared because Trump is proposing to strip away all of H-1B visas. Okay, and basically what that is a fancy word for work permits. So other people living in other nations can apply for these work permits to work over in this country. The only way that you can qualify is that particular position, there isn't enough skill set or people willing to do that particular job. So now those of us that have been in the tech industry for quite some time, we have seen from the nation of India, a lot of the Indians have taken over IT jobs, specifically the coder or developers. Those are the people that write the software programs. I saw this switch, I'm finna date myself, back around the early 2000s in the Y2K. Okay, so it started with that because it wasn't enough tech workers to help upgrade all the systems, not enough skill set. So companies started sponsoring these H-1B visas. Well, like everything else, if the price is right, these companies get greedy. So what do? They start laying off the developers. So a lot of people either retired, some of the old cats that came out of the military that were coders all of their lives, they started laying them off or either reducing their salary so low that it wasn't worth them doing that type of work anymore because it's a very high demand skill set plus it's high pressure. And they were substituting those roles with outsourcing or using the H-1B visa folks because they could pay them a hell of a lot less money, okay? And one of the tech companies, I couldn't find the article, a huge tech company actually got sued because they were paying a group of these Indian workers below minimum wage. Now, these type of professions, you're talking, it's a profession. It takes years to acquire these skills. So basically, they're getting this labor for cheap. But on the other hand, it did put a lot of IT workers, specifically information technology, white men, because this is a white-dominated male industry. It put a lot of them out of work, okay? So Trump is now threatening to rescind H-1B visa sponsorships. So in the meantime, all of these big technology companies, Microsoft, I know for a fact, is inundated with H-1B visa sponsors. If Trump was to pull the plug today, Microsoft development, all that shit they working on now will come to a halt. That's how much they are dependent on H-1B visas. You have consulting firms that have started up and their practice and their bread and butter is made off of H-1B visas. So if Trump decides tomorrow to knock that out and Congress approves or whatever, that would literally bring their business to a halt. Because the problem is, over the last, 16 years, I guess this will make the 17 years, because there wasn't any, they weren't hiring Americans for those coding tech jobs. Well, the young kids, they didn't go to school for that necessarily. So if they stop this H-1B visa program, we don't even have the skill set to back hire for those particular positions. Okay, so that's what's going on in the world of Trump with business. I'm going to pause because I'm going to go in on another deeper side on what this all means. I'm going to open back up your line, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on it. Okay, brother, you there? I know I said a mouthful. I did want to give you a chance to put something on it in case you want to.
They go example of having a damn real skill set.
Yeah.
You limit yourself to one thing you want to. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You screwed.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because when I came into tech in, was it 95? Damn, it's been that long. I had the option to go down that developer's path. Number one, I didn't like it. It was boring. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But something told me, learn a little bit of the development side just to get a gist of what they're doing. But you really need to go on the harder path, more on the business side and managing stuff. So that's the path that I took. So I can dance both worlds. I can dance the tech world and dance the business world because I came from a business background. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. That goes back to making sure that you have, multiple sources of income and, multiple trades. But that's what's going on with that in the whole tech world. So literally the tech world is on pins and needles trying to wait to see what the hell this man is going to do. Okay, so, and in addition to that, there is rumors that he supposedly and allegedly wants to tear down the Fed Reserve and put the U.S. court back onto the gold standard. I've seen multiple articles talk about that as well. Now, if that is the route he is indeed taking or wants to take supposedly and allegedly, either one or two things are going to happen. They're going to bump him off because, when you dance in that territory, you're tearing down the establishment. Or if they allow him to do it, then they are indeed moving to something else. Okay, so why is all of this important? Okay, so we'll have to keep a watch on how Trump card interacts with the Fed Reserve because that's going to give you an indication on the thing that a lot of us have been discussing for years, which is the quote reset. Are we going back to a gold standard? Is BRICS or China going to be the new nation of the world reserve currency and the new financial hub, which I think that they are, and that's already happening behind the scenes. So that's number one to watch out, how Trump moves on the financial side. Let's get to the land piece, and I'm tying the land and the immigration together. Okay. I said when I started hearing about Trump, supposedly he's going to throw everybody out of this nation that's not supposed to be here, I said then, okay, Now's the time. If that's the way he want to roll, other people finna step up and say, oh, okay, so now I'm wrong. You gonna throw them out because you said they're not from this land, but this is not even your land, quote, quote, you're not a native to this land since you want to talk. So now we're getting ready to go back to the root of the issue with land since you want to play. Okay, so happened someone else, Brother Chaz, had posted something that blew my mind away. We're going to talk about it, where Prez O, back in 2008, right before he came in office, a declaration was set by the UN in 2007. It was adopted in 2008 for the UN Declaration of Indigenous People. Have you ever heard of that, Brother Wendell?
It's Declaration for the Rights of Indigenous People.
Yep, Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Now, you could go on Google, go on the UN.org. You could pull a little declaration yourself. Read through. I highly encourage you to read through it, because the way they break down in this declaration, it clearly states what the indigenous people have a right to. So, of course, it goes into basic, quote, quote, human rights, and they take that out of the Human Declaration of Rights, which is folks have the right as individuals for freedom. They have a right to full employment. They have a right to be protected under international law. So those are some of the basic stuff. Now, the thing, when they started getting into indigenous people have the right to maintain their own, strengthen their distinct political, legal, economic, social, and cultural institutions while retaining their right to participate fully, if they so choose, in the political, economic, social, and cultural life of the state. So when you get into the articles, I promise you, it's going to make your mouth drop open. Then the next article says every indigenous individual has the right to a nationality. I just really like, oh my goodness, this is what the Moors always scream about, nationality. And then it goes on to talk about that the indigenous people do not have to be forced to assimilate, and they have the right to be protected for someone not to destroy their culture. And then it goes specifically into the land. So states shall provide effective mechanisms for prevention of and redress for any actions which has the aim or effect of depriving them of their integrity as distinct peoples or of their cultural value or ethnic identities. Any action which has the aim or effect of disposing them of their lands, territories, or resources. Any form of forced population transfer which has the aim or effect of violating or undermining any of their rights. Any form of forced assimilation or integration. Any form of propaganda designed to promote or incite racial or ethnic discrimination directed against them. Indigenous people and individuals have the right to belong to an indigenous community or nation in accordance with the tradition and customs of the community or nation concerned. No discrimination of any kind may arise from the exercise of such right. Indigenous people shall not be forcibly removed from their lands or territories. No relocation shall take place without the free, prior, and informed consent of the indigenous peoples concerned and after agreement on just and fair compensation, and where possible with the option of return. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. How many articles does this have? Has about 35 articles. I promise you, if you read through that, your mouth would drop open. So it got me thinking, okay, so Trump card is trying to kick folks up out of the nation, saying it's not their land, they don't have a right to be here. They're running a pipe through the quote Native Americans' land. So it got me to thinking, and he wants to withdraw from the UN. So based on what I read in the UN Indigenous Peoples Declaration Declaration of Rights. So there's a couple things going on. Number one, why, if the folks that are fighting over in South Dakota, because they've been going at that job for quite some time now, okay? If that is their land, now I'm going to start some shit tonight, so get ready. If that is their land, why aren't they taking the U.S. court to the UN? That's clearly all they need to do, if that is their land. So that is an indication that it's really not their land, okay? It clearly has to be someone else's land. That's number one. My number 2 point, now, and it's a point and a question. Now, I don't personally know of, and just because I don't know of it doesn't mean that it is not happening. All of these other nations that we have within where we are now, you know, like a lot of the Moorish nations and some of the other nations that have formed together, why is this document not being, and folks that claim they have land patents, they have this, they have that, XYZ, ABC, why is their claim not being taken before the UN with the UN's own declaration? Okay, so any Moors out there or any other nations that have gone before the UN and used this declaration to discuss your land ownership and your rights as indigenous people on this land, please, please, please feel free to join the conversation. Hit me up. We could definitely discuss that. So it just got me thinking, Brother Window, when I read that document. That's the first time that I've seen it this week, and it blew me back because it's all there. It clearly spells out the rights of indigenous people, and I don't see why it's not being used by the people that have these claims in, that have the nation. And, of course, this document or declaration doesn't get any attention whatsoever. So I'll pause in case you want to put something on it, brother.
What is the possibility that all this stuff is done on purpose to kind of force that issue to come out in the open?
See, I wasn't finished trying to shit star tonight, but that's what I think it's really about.
Because, see, look at here. Trump know he a German.
Right.
And he's willing to do that. He's willing to do that because he's willing to go back to Germany.
Right, and you know his wife is an immigrant.
And see, with the explosion of people owning up to the truth, who the real Israelites are, and all that type of thing. Hey, you might as well just go ahead on with it and bring everything out so all this mess can stop and everything can be settled.
Right, and that's why I was saying last week, although being hit with that document this week, it confirms what I said last week, that he's going to bring a lot of things out, but he's still going to play that other side. So I totally agree with you. I think that's what this whole issue of immigration is about, because soon as he kept screaming, they need to go back home, then you started hearing people saying, well, wait a minute, Europeans, you weren't screaming about people MFing going home when you brought your ass over here and kicked the natives off their land, stole from them, raped them, enslaved them, and then brought other folks over from the African nations. You wasn't concerned about that then. And so it was clear to me, okay, this is really what this root issue of immigration is about. And those folks that sat up on their raggedy asses, and I wasn't for Trump or Hillary because I don't believe in neither one of the bullshit, but the point I'm trying to make is those folks that sat up on their raggedy asses voting for Trump, thinking that shit's gonna backfire in their face. Because when you want to tell somebody to get off of your shit, it ain't really your shit. So pay attention, because I really do believe this is where the rubber is going to start meeting the road. It's going to be some shit behind that. It's not going to be let go that easy. And any nation of indigenous people, the UN is where you need to be going. Right with their own shit that they adopted. And I don't think that was by accident that it came into fruition in 2000. They said they started in 2006. 2007, they agreed that they wanted to go forward with it. The U.S. court and a couple of the other European nations didn't sign on to it. Press O signed on to it back in 2011. None of that shit is a coincidence. This just my humble opinion. None of it is a coincidence. So I think that's something we need to pay attention to as far as the immigration side. This Cheryl Wooding, right before I started the show tonight, she put a dynamic post out there. And thank you, sis. I'm hijacking your stuff. I told you I was going to hijack it. But her post goes, what I want to do now is just flush out a few more things on the general concept of what this land deal really was as it relates to freedom and liberty and self-determination, etc., as opposed to what you were brainwashed to believe. First of all, the territory was not empty. You do understand that, right? There were millions, tens of millions of people living in what we call the us before we arrived. Since it was already full of people, any talk about buying some portion of it from some other country across the ocean who had basically no presence there, it is absurd. Do you see that? France no more legitimately owned that land than I do. They got it from Spain a couple of decades earlier as a debt payment after losing yet another government-sponsored war. And Spain has no more owned it, nor had any right to transfer any so-called ownership of that portion of the earth full of people than I do. It is a transparent fraud of the highest and most ludicrous order to imagine otherwise. Dressing it up with fancy documents and meaningless ceremonies doesn't make it legitimate. Do you see that? Some guy floats up on a ship, steps onto the land filled with tens of millions of people, and say a few words, stick a flag in the ground, and now the land is owned by some king or country. How preposterous is this idea? Yet, that is at the foundation to support our purchase as well. Think about that. That is an idea that was put in your head by government. It makes no sense. Where is the consent from the millions of people who lived there for thousands of years? Nowhere. Yet, we are told that we somehow bought the land from France and now had a right to it. They tell us that our country stands for individual liberty and freedom and rests on the consent of the people, etc. Where is the consent of those people? Where are their rights? What in the world justifies our just showing up by the millions to run them off, kill them, drive them off their land, and claim it? Just stop and really think about that for a minute. This is what our country is founded on. It is the basis of America. It really couldn't be any further from liberty and individual rights. So again, that came from Sis Cheryl Wooding off of a Facebook post she put up a couple hours ago, and I just think it summed up perfectly the state of where we are in this nation in regards to land. So I'll pause in case you want to put something on it, Brother Wendell. Anybody else want to join the conversation? Press 1 to get in the queue. Go ahead, brother.
That's not a surprise because the U.S. courts specialize in human rights violations.
On the regular.
That's what they do.
On
That's what they do.
MF regular, absolutely. That's exactly what they do. And I'm not gonna name no names because I'm gonna respect that person's privacy. But this one particular person, this was last year, almost going on a year, and this person's pretty popular in the alternative media space. This person is a Caucasian person. And so I had a conversation with them because basically this person put something out there telling all the white men to stand up and go register each white man from in each state to stand up and go stake claim in the state that they're in for land. So, for example, if I'm in Georgia, I'm a white man, go put in a claim because my heritage can be traced back to, for me to have the right to put in a claim to that land. Smoke came out my so-and-so collar. I was cool. I was respectful. So I just had a simple conversation, and all I asked this person, help me to understand, how does a white man have claim to this land? So person, as folks always do, want to drag the Constitution out they ass and talk to me about some 1775. I said, okay, I'm going to ask you again, but I'm going to throw another caveat in there. Who owned the land before 1775? And how does a white man have the right to stake any claim in this land? Oh, hell broke loose. Got to stammering and well, this, that, and I'm going to ask you again. Who was on the land prior to this 1775 agreement. Never could answer that question. Then all of a sudden they gonna come out of a bank. Well, you from Africa. Says who? You not from here. We do know that. So we had to end the conversation before I MF'd and FB'd this particular person, and then they had to come back and admit, because I wanted to say, bitch, don't try me. Do not try me. You know you cannot trace your roots prior to 1775 or 1600s, because that's really when the takeover started, to this land. So the person had to finally admit, of course they didn't admit it to me, I saw them admit it in other places. Well, my family is from Germany. Yeah, that's what the F I thought. You're from Germany. So you have no matter in the say on this land. So I'm saying all that to say these immigration discussions that Trump are bringing up, this is how people are going to come out swinging. Because, you know, now we're at the age of information. A lot of the indigenous people are waking up saying, wait a minute, hold the hell up. How you going to say you don't own this? So just pay very close attention. I think it's going to be a lot more deeper than they're putting before us. Okay, let me see, because I know we're getting into like 8 o'clock. I did have a couple other things that I wanted to share with you. I'll get off the land stuff. On the scientific note, one thing that I discovered that they're starting to admit, we've been kind of discussing it in the metaphysics community for quite some time now. RT came out with an article today saying that they are building a quantum supercomputer that can change life completely. Okay. So the article goes on to say that physics have produced the first ever blueprint for a large-scale quantum computer that could herald a technological revolution in computing. If the industrial blueprint works, it could see the first super quantum machine being built within a decade at the cost of tens of millions of pounds. Quantum computers have long been seen as the next stage in computing technology. Scientists believe this next generation of machines could be many millions of times faster than the contemporary computer. An international team of Sussex published the new blueprint in the academic scientific journal. Whatever. For many years, people said that it was completely impossible to construct an actual quantum computer. With our work, we have not only shown that it can be done, but we are now delivering a nuts and bolts construction plan to build an actual scale machine, lead scientist Winford Hensinger said in a statement. This revolution, and now this the bombshell here, y'all. I had to give y'all the bullshit first to get to the bombshell, give you a little background. This is what you pay very close attention to. The revolutionary potential of quantum computers lies in their ability to work at the atomic level, where an atom can mysteriously exist in two different places at the same time. This means a qubit, the quantum version of a traditional bit of computer information, can be both 1 and 0 at the same time. At the moment, a bit can only be 1 or 0. So you saying, Rhonda, why the hell is that such a bombshell? What they are talking about is making things exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. That's what that means. Okay? So anybody that knows anything about computers, computers are run on binary code, 1 and 0. Everything about a computer runs on that. And based on how you place that 1 and 0, it tells the computer what to do. It comes up with the calculated code. That's how the developers are able to write code around it. So now what they are saying is they can mirror what happens at the same time in different spaces. So in my mind sight, that immediately makes me think of operating in multiple dimensions at the same time. And last month, we did a show on multiple dimensions, multiverses, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so they're talking about doing simulation of parallel universes using a computer. Excuse me. So pay attention to that. I thought that was huge for them to come out and admit that is definitely what they're working on. Okay. All righty. I'm going to move on to the last story, and then we're going to get into tonight's topic because it leads right into it. Okay. Another article came up as I was reviewing the one about the quantum computer that we just looked at, and this particular article talks about a fifth force nature particle. Okay, so let me try to get the article. Computer kind of running slow a little bit here, so bear with me. Okay, so this actually came out of RT News. This was August of last year. So it is the fifth force of nature possibly discovered. Now, possibly now. U.S. Psychiatrists say, well, I don't know how that is. So anyway, scientists are ecstatic over the fact that they may have just discovered the fifth fundamental force of nature. The possible discovery of a previously unknown subatomic particle looks set to finally bring the elusive dark matter into the mix. Okay, so I'm going to pause right there because as soon as I saw this article title talking about the fifth force in nature, I already knew that it was dark matter. And the only reason I knew is because through some of the other metaphysics teachers and the one particular man we had just studied a couple of months ago. Dang, I can't think of his name. I'll get his name. But more recently, we had Brother James Dunn on the show, and he'll be back on next week, by the way, to talk on a similar subject, kind of a follow-up. But anyhow, when he was on the show last month, he also talked about that fifth element, okay? And he equated biomagnetism, which equals the fifth element, and I'm reading from my notes from that show. That's the fifth element where all elements came from. So, Brother James broke it down in plain terms, letting you know when you hear that term, fifth element, it's where all elements came from. So that's the all in all. So putting together from what Brother James said, what the other scientist said, I'll get his name for you so you can look up his information as well. And now in this article, they are admitting that this fifth element that they quote, allegedly just discovered, which is bullshit, they've been knowing this for a minute, that's equal to dark matter. Dark matter equals melanin, okay? So dark matter is the source of everything. So the article, I'm not going to read the whole thing, just two more paragraphs. The discovery centers on a new type of boson that processes characteristics previously unseen in particles. Furthermore, its existence casts doubt upon whether known sectors of matter and particles exist alongside a dark sector, both interaction with each other via another source, the unseen force. If true, it's revolutionary. For decades, we've known of four fundamental forces: gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear forces. If confirmed by further experiments, this discovery of a possible fifth force would completely change our understanding of the universe, with consequences for unification of forces of dark matter. Okay, and so if you go down in the article, it even talks about how really dark matter is made up of a huge amount more percentage of the universe than the other known forces. So I'm bringing this article forth to you, family, because they're now starting to pretty much disclose the importance of the quote, quote, dark matter, which is always equal to melanin. And they're going to start to have no choice but to more and more everything that they've taught. They're going to start tearing down those walls, throwing it out the door. Okay. And I feel that they have to do that because of the particular age that we're in and what the planet is going through, and what us moving to higher vibrations, that a lot of things as we know it today will change. So we're going to continue to follow anytime you hear them talk about dark matter, fifth force. No, now they're bringing in another word, fifth force. Know that they're speaking on the source of everything, the source of the universe, which is melanin. So I'll pause, Brother Window, in case you want to put something on it.
Yeah, how come dark matter can't be the first element?
and we know that it is the first element because they said it's such a high percentage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's just call it what it is. Yeah, if everything comes from dark matter, it's got to be the first element.
Exactly. And for them to sit up there talking about it was just discovered and they need to do more studies, when all along they've been following what they're calling a dark Oort cloud and a couple of other things, which is nothing but melanin. So just pay attention, because all of this crap that was taught, which is extremely inaccurate, is about to be turned on top of its head. Okay? All right. So if you want to join the conversation, press 1 to get in the queue. If not, we are going to go into tonight's topic, unless you have something else in the news you wanted to discuss, brother.
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get to crack it. Now, just a little follow-up from last week when we started. If we did get somebody in the queue. Let me do 832. Let me bring on 832. Okay. 832, your line is open.
Hello, my sister from another mister.
Hey,
and
brother,
the
how you doing?
brother from another mother.
How are you?
To reinforce. All right, and you?
I'm well, beloved. I'm well.
I just want to reinforce the black Oort cloud. I think it's Oort, O-R-R-T or O-R-T, however it's spelled.
Yep, O-R-T, yep.
When you made your movie review of Doctor Strange, do you remember the black melanin Oort cloud used to put the evil wizards. And, notice how their eyes was also being distorted with a black crust
Yep.
around their eyes as it was getting worse and worse, and they were getting more and more controlled.
Yep. Now that you bring that up, yes.
And there's another movie, I'm drawing a blank right now. I had it on the tip of my tongue when I was calling you, that shows malevolence in its cloud, the way that cloud was in that movie, if you notice, they'll put a black face.
Yeah.
Or they'll try to make it look features, and then they'll put certain eyes that are always malevolent. Yeah,
because the particular entity, he was a black cloud with some eyes up in him. You're exactly right. Yep.
Now, I know that my fellow sci-fi oracle nerd remembers Green Lantern. Right, Wendell? Right, Wendell?
Go ahead with
Remember that black orc cloud that was really, it was almost, they kind of portrayed it like an octopus type.
Sure
it was,
did.
you know what I mean? It was very, it was flowing and it was moving. Then you got one other movie, I don't know if you saw it, Last Witch Hunter. With Ben Diesel.
Yeah.
You remember first it looked like flies and some sort of insect, maybe a wasp or a stinger, and then all of a sudden it came out in a swarm that looked like, again, a black orc cloud.
Yeah.
The imagery, Rhonda, is that now they'll teach us this warped Christianity that they gave us from in the beginning was what? The Word.
The Word.
The Word was God, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and then the Word became flesh. Yeah. Well, isn't that melanin?
To me, that's what it always sounds like to me.
All human life comes from melanin. Period.
Because it says out of darkness comes what? Light.
And out of the void. They call it the void, supposedly.
Yep.
In other translations that they get. But, anything that starts with a beginning is the first. It's not the fifth. And I'll leave you on one last thing, which again starts with this Caucasoidal European distortion. The fifth element. That was the first movie that came to my mind of this pale, extremely black, and using the term the way Taj teaches us, black's original Old High German definition means paleo or pale. This pale white woman with Bruce Willis. I know my sci-fi nerd remembers that, right, brother?
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah.
Chris Rock, not Chris Rock, Chris Tucker was in it too. Yep.
Yeah, being a flaming lesbian, queer, whatever, in futuristic terms, that was out of control and screaming and hollering. But the point is those elements that we're only taught is earth, wind, fire, and water. Earth, wind, fire. And what is the body made 80% of?
Water.
Now you keep dropping the science on sister.
Thank you, brother.
I'm telling you, man, until you get the hoodie back, bro. Come on now, stand on your square.
Hey man, we can't make the hoodie do nothing, man.
Yeah,
I know.
He's been busy
he working that slave ship real deep.
Yeah, he is. He's working and he's busy, so I try not to bug him. So when he's able to come back. But that particular brother that also talked about that fifth element, if you go back in the archives when we did the whole show on the Universal Master Code.
You need to get him on regular. You need to get James Dunn on the regular.
Yeah, he'll be here next week. Yeah, he'll be here next week. But the other brother Look up Gabriel. How you pronounce his name? Oyeyo, Oyeio. He proved the fifth element, and we did the show. We brought in some of his work on the show, the Universe Master Code. You can go out on YouTube and view that. So now all of these brothers, melanated brothers, been dropping this science for decades. And now all of a sudden they want to come out talking about they done discovered the fifth element, which is dark matter.
But don't be shocked, my sister. Remember, with Columbus, they always discovering shit. But what does that mean? What you're acknowledging in your ignorance, you discovered some shit that exists. So you ain't got shit to do with it.
True that.
They really ain't discovered nothing.
Exactly.
That's true.
And we're giving them, and the act of us giving them power is white supremacy. And segueing that in parting, Trump Nation, Trump-tastic. I forgot which brother was with you a month or so ago, a couple of months maybe ago. The seventh trumpet in Revelation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time you look at that smarmy man, look at his mouth. He's looking like Dizzy Gillespie. Doesn't he look like he's about ready to blow?
He blowing.
Yes, he is.
He blowing. He blowing so loud they can't stand it.
And I believe the term is called blow hard, too. Blow hard, right?
He blowing.
Mm-hmm.
He blowing it so hard. He had to fire the Attorney General for not supporting that immigration ban.
But now, they claim they didn't ban. They claim they didn't ban. They just suspend. But it's okay. It starts somewhere. And let's ban them. Let's ban them. Oh, excuse me. I think that's his right-hand man name, right? Bannon. Let's ban him.
Oh, very good. Very good catch, brother. Very good analogy. Very good.
Y'all have a good evening.
Okay, you
and
too,
remember,
brother.
it's to our end. It's not to their design. It's to our end, our benefit, our purpose.
Absolutely.
So stop
Thank
being afraid,
you,
my
brother.
brothers and sisters.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for that, brother. Absolutely. That's what this is about, what I want us to peep game on. Absolutely.
Get that blow that bomb and quit playing.
Yeah, let me give it to him. I was sitting up here looking at the board. All right, brother. Well, peace and love.
Don't forget to always leave Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, brother. All right, brother.
Peace
well,
and
peace
love.
and love. All right. Okay, I'm so glad that brother tuned in and put something on that, and he brought up the very, very important point of all of this in the grand scheme of things is for our benefit, but we have to pay attention and enter and understand what is being put before us. So anytime they're putting something before you and they're really beating your brow in about it, that's the bullshit story in front. You got to look behind the story to see what is really, really, truly going on, because that behind the scenes is the opportunity. Now, I cannot wait for next week when Brother James get back on, because he finna get up in this new digital currency and behind the scenes on how they're making big moves. And he has his computer calculations, and I'm pretty sure that he's copywriting this stuff. So he's going to come with some very, very important news that's going next week that's going to tie into the financial. It's going to deal with that UN Indigenous Declaration of Indigenous Rights, People's Rights. That's going to be tied in as well. So next week, if you can, definitely tune in. Anybody that listened to Brother James the first time he was on the show know that he goes in deep and he ties all of this into a metaphysics perspective as well as prophecy and on the spiritual level. So next week is something you don't want to miss as well. All righty, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see here. So this week, the topic is You Are the Alien. Okay, so we're going to start with the basic definition of what is an alien or an extraterrestrial, okay, because that's what folk always associate an alien with. Extraterrestrial life is also called an alien life, is life that does not originate from Earth. These as yet hypothetical life forms may range from simple single-cell organisms to beings with civilization far more advanced than humanity. Although many scientists expect extraterrestrial life to exist, now this is coming off of their definition via Wikipedia. Although many scientists expect extraterrestrial life to exist, there is no ambiguous evidence for its existence thus far. Okay, so it goes on to say the science of astrobiology considers life on Earth as well and in broader astronomical content. And so they're basically placing life on Earth started around 4.1 billion years ago. So I'm not going to read that whole thing because it goes into some other stuff, but I did want to give you all some content of what they are defining, what extraterrestrial life is, not being of this particular Earth. That's not the origin, and as well of them dating this planet to 4.1 billion years. Okay. All right. So the other portion, we kind of already talked about that, which is dark matter. Okay. So dark matter, you can also look that up on Wikipedia, and we just talked about it a little bit. Dark matter is an unidentified type of matter distinct from dark energy or ordinary matter. The name refers to the fact that it does not emit or interact with electromagnetic radiation such as light, and thus is invisible to the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Although dark matter has not been directly observed, which that's bullshit, we know that it has, but anyway, its existence and property are inferred from its gravitational effects, such as the motions of visible matter. Gravitational lensing, its influence on the universe's large-scale structure, on galaxies, and its effect in the cosmic microwave background. Okay, this is where they're going to break down. So it is saying that the standard model of cosmology indicates that the total mass energy of the universe contains 4.9% of ordinary matter, 26.8% of dark matter, and 68.3% of dark energy. Okay. So, thus, dark matter constitutes 84.5% of total mass, while dark energy plus dark matter constitute 95.1% of total mass energy content. So now let's think about that. Out of all the total energy that they have measured, Now they are admitting that dark matter constitutes 95 point whatever the amount. And as we stated earlier, anytime you hear them discuss dark matter, and now they're saying it's the fifth element, that equals melanin. Okay? So now let's get back. What does this all mean? As the brother stated earlier, and it was just such a good lead in to what we're discussing tonight, that the word was there before, and the word became flesh. Okay? So the word came out of the void. What was the void? The void was dark matter. So if the word was a part of dark matter, then that means the word had to be what? Melanin, okay? So we're going to go into, I'm going to pause in case, Brother Wendell, you want to put something on it.
No, I'll keep it moving.
Okay. If not, now we're going to start going into how us as beings, and specifically melanated beings, how we are just more than what we confine ourselves to this realm, to this earth. We've been talking about over the last month or two us existing in other realms via astral travel, other things. And we also talked about last week some of the other civilizations, the Anunnaki, how we trace them coming from the different galaxies. We discussed us being on Mars, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to get a lot bit into that tonight, and then we're going to tie it all back to who and what we really are. Okay, so with that said, a follow-up shout-out to Sis Lioness. She sent a couple of us an email with an actual picture of Marvin the Martian, okay, because we talked about him last week and how that was basically code, looking at that little cartoon, that was code telling you that Marvin the Martian was a melanated man from Mars. So the picture that Sis Lioness sent us, and those of you that are listening online, you can look up at the top at the promo, and one of the pictures will be of Marvin the Martian. As I remember, he was in green, had the green helmet on, his green get-up gear, charcoal black, dark matter black, with a flag. Now, I've never seen this, and if I did, it didn't register. Had a flag. He was holding a flag, and what was on the flag? Mars. Okay. Mars on the flag was written in red letters. So I'm looking at this picture of Marvin the Martian. I'm like, I be damn, right there in our face. Not only are they representing him as a melanated person, but then they throw in our faces the colors red, black, and green. And so I just kind of chuckle, okay? So that's a follow-up to the whole Marvin the Martian thing. So now we're going to get into, and some of you have probably heard this concept before. My first time hearing it was actually from our beloved master teacher, Dr. Dilbert Blair. And it was about an alien spaceship that was found on the moon. Okay. And this particular, I pulled this off of a site called viewzone.com. Here's a story that has been going around the web since about 2007. It's pretty amazing, and I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't received more attention. I think many editors thought it was too far-fetched to be true. To be honest, we thought it was a hoax until one of the staff here at ViewZone decided to procure the film strips from the NASA site, noticed that there were two images of the objects available taken from different angles, and made a 3D composite image. The results are at the bottom of this page. While we are not confident about the accompanying video and the image of the alien entity, the female body, we are surprised that the 3D images do show an actual object on the moon's surface. If you have the old red, blue 3D glasses, you can see the spaceship pretty clearly. There's not much doubt that it's a spaceship, either that or a submarine, but we'll leave that up to the readers to describe. The story comes to us from a man who claims he was on a special NASA mission. William Rutledge is retired and now lives in Africa. He recently came out to reveal some amazing facts about his involvement with NASA in the 70s. Rutledge claimed to have worked on at least 2 missions to the moon, including the failed Apollo 19 and the Apollo 20, which he says was launched in August of 1976 from Vandenberg Air Force Base. Both of these missions, according to Rutledge, were classified joint space missions resulting from collaborations between the U.S. and Soviet governments. They do not appear on any roster of NASA missions, and if this is true, for good reason. The purpose of these missions was to investigate a large object on the far side of the moon in Del Porte Isaac region, allegedly discovered and photographed during the Apollo 15 mission. The objects, which vaguely resemble an X-wing fighter as seen in the Star Wars film, was supposed to have been a very large alien spacecraft which had crashed or was otherwise abandoned on the moon in ancient times. How big is the ship? Thanks to the website ramstrip.com, we have a graphic to demonstrate. When we say huge, we really need another word because it doesn't come close to this spaceship. So they have a bunch of pictures of these supposed images, okay? And then it goes into recovering body of female EBE. Rutledge claims that they, with Soviet astronauts, landed a lunar module, Russian-made, near the alien ship and actually entered it. Certain artifacts were discovered and recovered, including 2 bodies alleged to be pilots. One was in excellent condition and appeared to be female. A second body was too deteriorated to recover, and just the head was retrieved. The female had been dubbed Mona Lisa. We went inside the big spaceship, also into a triangular one. The major part of the exploration was it was a mothership, very old, who crossed the universe at least milliards of years. They're saying 1.5, they're estimating. There were many signs of biology inside, old remains of vegetation in the motor section, special triangular rocks who emitted tears of a yellow liquid, which has some special medical properties, and of course, signs of extrasolar creatures. We found remains of little bodies, 10 centimeters, living in a network of glass tubes all along the ship, but the major discovery was 2 bodies, one intact. The city was named on Earth and scheduled as Station 1, but it appeared to be a real space garbage full of scrap, gold parts, only one construction scene intact. We named it the Cathedral. We made many shots of pieces of metal of every part wearing calligraphy exposed to the sun. The city seemed to be as old as the ship, but it is a very tiny part. On the rover video, the telephotons made artifacts greater. I don't remember who named the girl. Linabal or me was the intact EBE. Humanoid, female, 1.65 meters, genitalized, haired, 6 fingers, We guess that mathematics are based on a dozen. Function, piloting device, fixed to fingers and eyes, no clothes. We had to cut 2 cables connected to the nose, no nostrils. Linnevalk unfixed the eyes device. Okay, they're just giving some more little descriptions. And it says some parts of the body were in unusually good condition. Hair. And the skin was protected by a thin, transparent protection layer. As we told to mission control, condition seemed not dead, alive. We had no medical background or experience, but Linneval and I used a test. We fixed our bio equipment on the EBE, and telemetric received by surgeon was positive. Some parts could be unbelievable now. I prefer to tell the whole story when other videos will be online. The experience has been filmed in the LM. We found a second body destroyed. We brought the head on board. Color of the skin was blue-gray, a pastel blue. Skin has some strange details above the eyes, and the front, a strap around the head, wearing the inscriptions. The cockpit was full of calligraphy and formed of long semi-hexagonal tools. She is on Earth and she is not dead, but I prefer to post other videos. Okay, so anyway, you can go to viewzone.com. Now, they have pictures. Some of you have seen this particular picture of the woman on the moon, and her hair is melanated person's hair. Her skin tone is copper color tone, for that matter. So I'm bringing all that to say that supposedly, and like I said, I've heard this story for quite some time. I know Dr. Dilbert Blair talked on it, but supposedly, never a straight answer, NASA found a crashed spaceship on the moon, and in that particular spaceship, they retrieved the body of a melanated woman. She was a pilot, and she was clearly melanated. Even if you want to count out the skin color, you can't discount the woolly texture of her hair. Okay, so I'm going to pause, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on it. Anybody else want to join the conversation, press 1 to get in the queue.
Yeah, you sure can't deny that texture of the hair.
Exactly, because I mean, let me look at this picture. Did she have locks, or was it just long?
Yeah, it was locked up.
Okay, it was locked up. Okay, I couldn't tell because I thought in other pictures I saw that it was locked. But yeah, you can't deny that hair. I don't give a damn what they say. Now, if you want to say that the copper colored skin, that faded over time, okay, player, what about these locks up in her hair? So let me go to 313. Let me bring 313 on. 313, your line is open.
Good evening, sis. How you doing?
I'm well. Greetings, beloved. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You know, when I saw that back, that's been a couple years now. When I first saw it, I knew it was real. They were trying to pretend that it was a hoax, but I knew it was real because I got this like electric, like chill type feeling that I get sometimes, you know, when something is kind of spiritual or kind of, you know, and the other thing that let me know, aside from the quality of the feeling that I got about it when I was viewing it, was the fact that these astronauts were trying to say that she looked like Angelina Jolie, and they were trying to say like she was like a white woman.
Get out of here. Those pictures are far from the truth.
Oh, I know. But I just said, you know, people, when they're racist, they can be looking right at a thing and they just can't say it right, And so also to let me know that it was real and it was valid, the guys, by them trying to claim it for their own, that let me know, oh yeah, this is some stuff. This is some good stuff. See, but they didn't want to give us credit for it. They didn't want to, you know how they're always trying to cut us out of the extraterrestrial.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that tonight too, because a sister put out a great video about them cutting us out of the extraterrestrial. But go ahead on, sis. Absolutely.
Yeah. They have you thinking all ETs are white, but yes, but Dr. Blair straightened that all out.
Right, and we have a lot of clips going to Dr. Blair's work. Yeah,
I tell you who straightened out more than anybody.
Who's that? Dr. Valentine?
No, Norman Bergeron song.
Yeah, we got hit. We got a clip of dude too, where he said he saw the aliens. Yes. He
saw with his own 2 eyes. He said they were black. And Kerry Cassidy said they were dark skinned. He said no, they were black.
Sure did. Sure did. We got that clip tonight also. Sure did.
Yeah.
Sure
did. Go look at the Rainmakers of Saturn. He got a video out there.
It's a very good video too.
Yeah. Norman Bergeron. Rainmakers of Saturn.
Yes, very good video. He broke it down, described the spaceship, described where the hell they parked the spaceship, how they got up out the spaceships, how tall they were, and the lady show tried to get them on the slick. So you mean they were dark? No, they were black.
Oh my God. I got to see that.
Yeah. Very, very good interview.
All righty. Well, I just love it. I love you bringing it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, beloved. Okay,
thank you.
Sis. Peace and love.
Bye-bye. Peace and love.
Okay. All right, family. So the whole point of that now, of course, folks are saying they don't know for sure if that was true about the sister on the moon that was found on the moon. But note the time. They dated her remains and the craft 1.7 million years. So if her craft was crashed up on the moon, and she appears based on that description, they were either leaving from somewhere or going somewhere. So meaning that was not where they resided. Okay, they so happened to either landed there, crashed there, whatever. 1.7 million years ago. Melanated woman found on the moon, locks in hair and all. Okay, so we're going to go, and thanks, sis, for leading me into that, because our beloved Dr. Dilbert Blair put out a lot of videos, and we're going to take some snippets from his videos tonight, and we have some other folks as well. But I do want to get into one of his videos, and this one is called The Truth About Kemet, Extraterrestrials, and the 18th Dynasty. So we have, let me find part one of that video. I got so many uploads tonight, y'all, so just be patient with me. Okay, so this is about 5 minutes. We're going to go ahead on and play that, and then come back and chop it up. Here we go.
Plan your weight, wanna give your hands a shake. Bitch, we got bands to make, rubber bands to break. Guns and butter, that land on lake. Got bread, got plans to break the Brooklyn way. When Tony killed Manolo, had to look away. It's a war going on, starting to look like yay. A power warning, battle torn, thou shalt not kill. When diamonds is dancing.
We're in a time now where our planet's history must be rewrought, rebuilt, revamped. reconstituted. To redo something, it means what? It was done before. You cannot redo something that is initiatory, precepted, first, and first cause. When you redo something, it means it's being redone for a reason, either because it was so good that you ran out and you wanted to do it again, it was so bad that you thought you might need to change it and revamp it, or it's just a matter of reconsideration. You find in the English language over 80 different words precepted with re, which means that most things on this planet are rebirthing, redone. It's been done for billions of years. This planet is billions of years old. I couldn't tell you how many. There are many astrophysicists, there are many people who study supposedly the contextuality of history that give you all kind of guesswork, just all guesswork. Just like they tell you it's 93 million miles to the sun. How do they know? Have you ever been to the sun? Have you lived on it and talked to the people there? Some of you have. Some of you are sun-born because the sun is under the planet. We have been so misused, misguided, misunderstood for so long that miseducation is the way of life. But now I'd like to change all the misses and Ms. to misters and paternal. The idea is that we are one in consciousness, in conceptuality, and in causation. We are one. And when you think out of the one, that's when you age. When you think out of the one, that's when you die. When you think out of the one, that's when you experience many things and come to find out, wow, it's unbelievable. Because our life on this planet is unbelievable. This is an unbelievable planet. There's nothing but a zoo, a kept area, a place to drop off on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy, and we're now moving because of the way that they've mistreated this beautiful planet called Earth, which has many other names, by the way, Terrestis, Uxine, what's another one they had there? Let's see. I forgot it, the one I just learned recently too. But Terrestis seems to be the more common name used by other individuals in our solar system and otherwise, Terrestis. That's why you get the word terrest and terrestrial. And on this planet, you have extraterrestrials, terrestrials, and intraterrestrials. We have three different life forms on this planet. We know very little of the extraterrestrial, very little of the intraterrestrial, and now we're just beginning to understand better on terrestrials because we've got supposedly five now: brown, yellow, black, white. What's the other one? Oh, red? You can. But then we've got speckled, green, blue, and kind of a yellowish white. You haven't met them recently. We have giants here, pygmies here. We have 30 and 40 foot tall giants still living inside of our Earth and on many of the islands in the Pacific. This is when the story of giants, I have pictures in another lecture I give on the giants in, on, and around the Earth. We have so much that was never taught to us because the people that educated us were miseducated themselves, and then those that were used to guide and take care of us never told us the truth because they didn't know who they were guiding and miscarrying were their gods. Therefore, you are gods sitting in this chair looking for a God outside. You're a God going to sleep in your body each night looking for a God to come and help you. And so when we study the ancient gods, understand you are the incarnate virtue of those ancient gods, and you look in books and treatises to find yourself and never find it. This is why there are many arguments in so many religions, because everyone is looking for their God, and their God is them. You are your God. Now this has nothing to do with the Creator. Notice how I change this now. I do not use the word God to mean first cause and causation and primal. I use the word God to be any advanced scientist or any advanced race or any advanced person is showing me things that I can't understand. Therefore, I look at them as a God. And in many cases, so-called aboriginals, and never use that word again because it...
All right, family. So that is, we're going to get a little bit more into it. I had to break this stuff up in segments. The truth about Kemet, extraterrestrials, and the 18th dynasty. So, Brother Wendell, did you want to, oops, I had muted you, sorry. Did you want to put something on it before I go to the caller 917?
Yeah, I have a problem with anybody who talks about the dynasty of Kemet not going back and trying to find out who was up in that first dynasty. They always want to come out 18th, 19th. What about the first dynasty?
Exactly.
Because you do have to count up to 18.
True that.
Could these people know that, but just won't even talk about it because there's something else that we might find out?
True. Very true.
I appreciate their work, but let's get real with it.
Right. Let's go back further.
I just like saying when Columbus came out here, nothing was here.
True. Very good point.
That's the same thing they doing. Come on with it. Let's go back to that first day and let's find out what went down and bring that forward. How about that?
That's a good point. And, I know some people have been hitting me up. Somebody, brother, you left, Brother Mark, a message. I still could not make out your email. I forgot that I actually put the notes to the Lost Book of Inky that Brother Wendell did an excellent job to. It is actually on the Truth Uncompromised website, and you can download them. So you can go to Truth Uncompromised Media Network website and download the Lost Book of Inky notes. So if you are reading that book, which I highly recommend, you either read the book or if it's too overwhelming, because there's a lot of stuff in there, y'all. Brother Wendell did an entire series breaking that book down, and he put those notes together because that's the only book that I know that goes back that far and lines everything up. You can use those notes complementary to the book or to the shows that he did. And I'm telling you, it's really, really going to trip you out and blow your mind and put things in perspective. So very good point, Brother Wendell. Let me bring in 917. Let's see here. I think so. 917, your line is open?
God is love.
Oh, Brother Lincoln, how are you?
There goes Brother Lincoln. There he is.
I'm just letting you know I'm tuning into you guys, and it's very informative, and I want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad to hear your voice.
I'm glad to hear yours. You know, I have a brother that always keeps me up to date with what's really going on, you know. You wasn't on last week. The week before you wasn't on.
Yeah, I was sick for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. Got to show you I am there with you. They say, am I my brother's keeper?
Yes, I am.
I love you, baby. And thank you, and I yield.
I love you too, Brother Lincoln.
Brother Lincoln.
Lincoln, what's going on?
I love you, man.
Yes, sir. I love you too, my brother.
Peace and love.
Okay, peace and love, Brother Lincoln. Oh, it was so great to hear his voice. Oh, that's a good thing. Oh, that made my night. Glad to hear from Brother Lincoln. Okay, so we're going to pick back up. I kind of had to chop up this video to pick out the points in the video to drive home the point that who you are as a being in this realm, your origins go back much, 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 much further than definitely is being talked about. And in essence, at the end of the day, you are the alien that they speak of. You are that source that is connected to the creator of all that dark matter. So we're going to pick up at part 2 of this video. Again, I chopped this up in pieces, To get the full video, you can go to YouTube. The name of it is The Truth About Kemet, Extraterrestrials, and the 18th Dynasty. So let me pick up part 2. All right, if I can. Okay, here we go.
And that area has had many names. Al People Land, well, I don't even go on. Most of you are aware of them again. It's now generally called Egypt, and it is the heart of the Great Pyramid. In the 18th dynasty, it is said to be the heyday of Kemet, or the heyday of Egypt. Why? What was so great and so different about that was before and after this come afterwards? It's this, that there is a time when extraterrestrials, terrestrials, and interterrestrials ruled at the same time on the surface of Earth. I didn't say anything about aliens. I said terrestrials, extraterrestrials, and interterrestrials. I have 2 tapes out called T's. T's 1, T's 2. Terrestrials, extraterrestrials, and aliens. An alien is anything that's intelligent in any form, and there are thousands of forms of aliens out there. From praying mantises to things that, well, you imagine it, and that's what's out there. Alien being anything that is intelligent, a extraterrestrial being one that's a little bit more intelligent than a terrestrial, that can live in the heavens or in the earth, and has. A terrestrial human is almost like an oxymoron. Human is animal man. No, I know you say, no, Blair, it's H-U-E, hue. And it had nothing to do with the hues of planets. Hue meant animal. It was the animal god, Hubris. And it controlled the animal kingdom, in which many of these scientists from other planets mixed your DNA with other creatures on this earth and made the body that you're in now. If you doubt that, look at your hands, look at your feet, look at your body. Some people suffer from what's called psoriasis, scale skin. But you can see the little scales or little elements there, the many cells that are on your front of your hand, and the smooth palm, top of your feet, and the smooth foot. Some people have codification. They have, again, a 33rd vertebra, which led to tails. Some people have horn patches, where you used to have horns. Most of us now, and this is one of the things they don't tell a lot of you ladies again, have gills. They have what is called the parathyroids. They don't know what they're for. And in many cases, because of that, the thyroid, which a woman has 2 lobes on it, requires more iodine from the time that you were from Oasis and fish, the fish planet. And they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that why breast cancer is screaming through now. And they don't tell you why they're making a whole sea of energy up there, spraying every day with chemtrails. See, all of this stuff doesn't make sense till you get the background of this planet. That's why I'm spending so much time with you there. You've asked me to do it, and I'm doing it for free today. Meaning it's for free, I'm doing this as part of your lecture on just Kemet, because Kemet makes no sense unless you understand what is around Kemet. Just one of many ventures. And the last time when the extraterrestrials and terrestrials tried to get together and make this a good planet, a wonderful planet, which she was born at, because she inculcated and incubated all kinds of souls. And I don't know if I was a woman, if I could do that, but she has, and she still tries. So let's give her a lot of recognition today and every day for being a planet that has put up with you for the longest. In the 18th dynasty, there is a mystery and there is history. His story is what you always study but now know better than. And my story, which is your story, is what we will hear now. Are you still with me? His story tells you that in Egypt there were many dynasties, and that the dynastic people finally fell, and that they are now the Arabs that live there only, and that all the things that happened up there were built, and that the pyramid, of course, was built by over 20 years by slaves working night and day with ropes and brick and mortar or whatever else they used, and they built this great pyramid for somebody to be buried into. And it's because these kings were very egotistic and they spent all of their lives having pyramids built to their edifices. got to be lies if you think that that was done by some king for 20 years and then other kings tried to emulate him. The Great Pyramid is an edifice built by engineers, technicians, and metaphysicians from 3 different planets that came together here to duplicate what was done on Massa or Mars, what is done on Sirius A and B, what's done in Arcturus and Andromeda. It was a link to the chain of higher evolving souls, because it was a way to get the souls to evolve a little bit quicker on a planet that had gone through so much confusion, to help these people get faster, quicker. And so they built one of the great edifices that they have in about 3 different galaxies, and at least on about, I think it's about 250 different planets have those pyramid structures, including Mars. It is a device by which the soul can travel while still being in the flesh on one planet, as long as they can go to a series of these conduits and conductivities called pyramids. By the way, they are not called pyramids by the builders. They were called pyramids by the Greeks, who used the word pyramus and pyramousica, which means that goes straight up.
Okay, family. So, as you can see, that's a pretty smoking hot video. So again, that particular video is the truth about Kemet, extraterrestrials, and the 18th dynasty. So, Brother Wendell, did you have anything else you want to put? Did you want to put something on that little second piece? I know he started to get into who built the pyramids, why they were built, etc., etc.
They ain't going back for enough.
Okay. All righty. So, anybody else that want to join the conversation, you want to put something on and press 1 to get into the queue. So I did also kind of want to go over, because he mentioned that Dr. Dilbert Blair mentioned that some of the folks who built the pyramids also came from Mars. So I know where Brother Wendell is going with that, because when we discovered the Lost Book of Enki, we went way, way, way far back, and we really knew what the true purpose of Mars was. It was like a rest station back in the day, but eventually, because conflict happened with the Anunnaki, it did become home to some of the Anunnaki. But with all of that said, we're going to move into who are the OMAC and the Martian. So we're going to move into the OMAC and the Martian connection. We talked about the OMAC, the Moors, and OMAC last week. We talked about their origin, and towards the end of that series, we started to get into tying the OMAC and the Martian. So this next video, is that, what is the name of that video? I don't know if it's the same video or not. It may still be the same video. It is the same video, The Truth About Kemet, Extraterrestrials, in the 18th Dynasty. He also brings up the connection of the OMAC and Martians. So let me find that video. I had to hustle all week to get this stuff up here, y'all, and slice and dice it. Let me see. Hopefully I have it. I know I have it. Just bear with me. Okay. No, it may not have uploaded. Oh, no, I done built y'all up. I don't think it's on here. Oh, shoot. I am so sorry. Let me just make sure. I don't think it uploaded. Dang it. Okay, I'm going to have to move on. I'll find that one later. I apologize. Dang, that was a good one, too. Okay, I'll try to find it. If not, I'll have to do it at a later date. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the video, Are Black People the Extraterrestrials? This is another one by Dr. Gilbert Blair. I'm going to be pissed if my stuff didn't upload. I spent 2 days trying to upload this stuff. Yep. Okay. Okay, here we go. I do have the Are Black People the Aliens. Here we go. Or extraterrestrials. Here we go.
Come on, bring on your friends. We're going to do the knowledge. We're going to let the doctor go in, Jack. Oh, no, I want to thank Brother Rich. Rich, you are a gem and definitely a super pillar to the community. I feel safe. If anything happens, if it's up to you, you going to make sure that the whole message get out there. I like how you did this tonight. This is wonderful. Thank you,
brother.
Rich.
Thank you, brother.
Word up. UndergroundRailroad.net.com, man. Real talk.
Brother, LJ, you talk a lot now. Give Dr. Blair a question, brother. Go ahead.
You know what it is? It's like Dr. Blair. The question that really lies inside of me is how. It may seem like a selfish question. I admit it is a little bit, but how can I and my fellow man, brothers and sisters out there listening, and how can we, you get this low vibratory energy from your fellow man. I've met brothers, I can't tell you how many minds and third eye pineal glands that are awake and active that I've met within the past year that are so, they know something's going on and they feel it and they're partially ready, but they tend to walk through that proverbial door of enlightenment, so to speak, only to close it behind them real quick and use the partly gained knowledge as a superiority gain over others, spreading disinformation, vibrating on a lower, when I say a lower energy tone, is still in the base emotions as far as overt ideas of racism. How do I speak to the average brother and sister on a level where they can understand first and foremost that the higher thinking starts with vibrating higher? I'm trying to bring it all together here. It's so hard to just talk to, I get the conversations all the time. And like I said, I've met so many people who are just glowing. They're beaming. And they're ready for more, but somehow there's something there that prevents them from thinking and vibrating on that level where truly they can start to prepare. There's always some underlying current of negativity. Just how do other brothers and sisters who are encountering this same problem that I'm going through bypass that or alleviate it, if you will?
By doing exactly what you're doing, getting fed up with it, knowing that there must be more, trying to discipline and find out how to get past it. You'd be surprised. You're not alone. Billions of people, did you hear me? I didn't say hundreds of millions, 1,000. I said billions of people are awakening. This is a time for the awakening. This is why that second sun is out there. This is why they don't tell you about the sun. They got this international space platform, and they got all these little rocket launching ships and women coming out there trying to staple gun a spaceship out there in space, and you really think that's the best thing they got? They got a whole fleet out there. They got an auroral fleet out there, can get to the moon in seconds, but they didn't have it when they first started out. The whole point is this is the time for awakening. You're not alone in awakening, and the more you get into the proper diet, because you see, for instance, I'm going to just digress for a whole second or a whole minute. Thanksgiving is the worst time of the year. People get up there and eat all the meat, all the dressings, all the white starch and stuff. They get so full they can't move. Then they go lay down on the couch because they can't move and try to get some alcohol to cut through the daggone proteins.
A drink. Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's not food. That's no soul food. That'll kill your soul. That'll cramp your soul so your soul will want to die and get out of the body because it can't stand that body. Man. Now you've got to get into chlorophyll. You've got to get into spirulina and chlorella. You've got to get into light.
Okay, so I'm not sure if this is the video. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to stop it and move on because this ain't the topic that it's supposed to be. So bear with me.
It sounded like that video because Brother Rich did interview him when he did that. I remember
Okay, because I'm like, well, what the because I had to slice and dice it, so maybe I sliced it a little too early. So I'm gonna try to be patient with it. Let me see.
Bro, come out, bring all your friends. We're gonna do the knowledge. We're gonna let the doctor go in, chat. I want to thank Brother Rich. Rich, you are a gem and definitely a super pillar.
Sorry about that. It started over again.
I feel safe. If anything happens, if it's up to you, you gonna make sure that the whole message get out there. I like how you did this tonight. This is wonderful.
Thank you, brother.
Rich.
Thank you, brother.
Word up. UndergroundRailroad.net.com, man. Real talk.
Brother LJ, you talk a lot now. Give Dr. Blair a question, brother. Go ahead.
You know what it is? It's like Dr. Blair. The question that really lies inside of me is how. It may seem like a selfish question. I admit it is a little bit, but how can I and my fellow man, brothers and sisters out there listening, and how can we? You get this low vibratory energy from your fellow man. I've met brothers, I can't tell you how many minds and third eye pineal glands that are awake and active that I've met within the past year that are so, they know something's going on and they feel it and they're partially ready, but they tend to walk through that proverbial door of enlightenment, so to speak, only to close it behind them real quick and use the partly gained knowledge as a superiority gain over others, spreading disinformation, vibrating on a lower, when I say a lower energy tone, is still in the base emotions as far as overt ideas of racism. How do I speak to the average brother and sister on a level where they can understand first and foremost that the higher thinking starts with vibrating higher? I'm trying to bring it all together here. It's so hard to just talk to. I get the conversations all the time, and like I said, I've met so many people who are just glowing, they're beaming, and they're ready for more. But somehow there's something there that prevents them thinking and vibrating on that level where truly they can start to prepare. There's always some underlying current of negativity. Just how do other brothers and sisters who are encountering this same problem that I'm going through bypass that or alleviate it, if you will?
By doing exactly what you're doing, getting fed up with it, knowing that there must be more, trying to discipline and find out how to get past it. You'd be surprised. You're not alone. Billions of people, did you hear me? I didn't say hundreds of millions of thousands. I said billions of people are awakening. This is a time for the awakening. This is why that second sun is out there. This is why they don't tell you about the sun. They got this international space platform, and they got all these little rocket launching ships and women climbing out there trying to staple gun a spaceship out there in space, and you really think that's the best thing they got? They got a whole fleet out there. They got an Aurora fleet out there. Can get to the moon in seconds, but they didn't have it when they first started out. The whole point is this is the time for awakening. You're not alone in awakening, and the more you get into the proper diet, because you see, for instance, I'm going to just digress for a whole second or a whole minute. Thanksgiving is the worst time of the year. People get up there and eat all the meat, all the dressings, all the white starch and stuff. They get so full they can't move. Then they go lay down on the couch because they can't move and try to get some alcohol to cut through the daggone proteins.
Drink. Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's not food. That's no soul food. That'll kill your soul. That'll cramp your soul so your soul will want to die and get out of the body because it can't stand that body. Man. Now you've got to get into chlorophyll. You've got to get into spirulina and chlorella. You've got to get into light eating. You've got to get into monatomic gold, where you can get that vibration up to 121 megahertz, especially when you got chemtrails and MSG and aspartame and everything else, and these people going out there getting these crazy shots, oh, my God. I mean, shoot. No, to get there, you got to do there. If you want to do better, you got to know better. And if you know better and you don't do better, then you deserve what you get. It's the time for awakening. The power comes with concentrated thoughts. Why do you think people used to drum? People used to sit and chant. They didn't go yell. They chanted together. They had one thought. When you get one thought and you get a sun that's working on a magnetic frequency, you can begin to work with the planet because the planet loves you and will obey you. Insects will obey you. Animals will obey you. Birds will obey you. Because we're so low, nobody obeys us. then you won't have an enemy because your enemy will be swamped by the planet that they're trying to mess up. That's when you get rid of your enemy. We're out there now trying to find and dissect their rules. They make the laws. We try to find out how to abridge the laws. When do we make universal laws and follow them? This is the whole point. The planet will give you the power. The planet has already decided who it wants, and if you don't fall into that picture, you'll be out of it just as they are out of it too. You cannot sit both sides. It's a time for decision.
Wow. Right. You know, and see, it's crazy because I've been feeling, and I'm sure like many of you out there have.
Okay, sorry about that, family. That was not the video, so I don't know what the hell, how I sliced and diced that. I apologize, but I didn't want to stop it because it was a good message. I'm going to go to the caller 301, and then we're going to pick back up. So let me go to 301. 301, your line is open.
Hello, it's been a long time, so I just had to get on and say hello.
Yeah. How you doing?
I've been absent.
Yeah, I noticed. I'm like, oh, he must be on the go, so that's okay.
Yeah.
I enter and overstand.
All right, Brother Wendell. Good to hear your voice too there for a second.
Yes, sir, my brother.
Yeah, so this little video clip that you just played. Now, you said this wasn't the subject matter y'all was supposed to be talking about?
Yeah, tonight the subject matter is you are the aliens. And so I thought I'd grab the portion of that clip pertaining to that section, but, you know, they kind of got into vibration and what we need to do, which was still good, but that's not the specific topic tonight. But that doesn't matter. What's on your mind?
Oh, no, on my mind was just saying hello to y'all because it's been so long since I've been on. I just wanted to make sure I had the thing working right. I'm up here pushing 6, and it's like, it won't let me in the queue. I don't know what to do.
You're used to the old system, yeah. You just need to press 1 to get in the queue. Yeah.
I found that out. So I'm going to get back out of the way and go ahead and just listen to the rest. It's just good to hear y'all again.
Okay, brother. Well, good to hear you as well. Thanks much, beloved. Okay, right. Peace and love. Okay, that's my brother Tim. He would chop it up with me on Facebook with some movies. So, okay, we're going to move along to Master Teacher Bobby Hemmett. He interviewed with a lady named Miss Blue. I wonder what happened to Miss Blue. She used to really do a lot of profound interviews. But anyway, Brother Bobby Hemmett goes into who we really are. So we're going to chop it up a little bit with Brother Hemmett, and then we're going to come back and talk about that and take it from there. So let me get that particular video. Sorry about that other video, family. I'll have to go back and find it, that Dr. Blair stuff, because it was a lot of good meat in there. I don't know why the hell my other uploads didn't make it here. So here we go. Bobby Hemmett, who we really are.
Find out the purpose, we need to go and access several mythologies and give a synopsis on what happened to us. What happened to us. And a lot of times we get back, especially the Africans or the black people, we have to reiterate that because we're talking internationally. We get into it because we want to find out how we can't fell to such a low point. But what we don't realize is we fell to a low point when we first came in to humanity. When we first became locked into the human stage. And that's where we need to go. And then we can think. So we'll go into a bit of the synopsis on this so we can answer later on what we're supposed to be doing. So basically, let me take you through a few things. Prior to this particular universe, what we would call the known existence of the Milky Way galaxy or what have you, because it's relevant to the Earth, we inhabited several primal worlds. Okay. And those primal worlds, well, they came in 1998 and said, well, this particular universe is something like 14 billion years. So the primal worlds that we inhabited before this particular creation, which is about 14 billion years, we just give a number just for a synopsis. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You never really know, but let's get to kind of round this thing off. Prior to this particular creation, which is about 14 billion years, we inhabited several primal worlds that existed about 14 billion years prior to it falling or demise. You see what I'm saying? So we existed in these particular primal worlds. And those particular primal worlds were these high superior deities. And these high superior deities, in so many words, got old and started falling asleep or losing power. Their children rose up, which would be the gods that exist today, the ones we worship. Their children, those primal deities or entities, children rose up and thrust their parents into a physical existence, and they became humans. So we are the parents of the gods that we worship today.
Wow.
You see?
Right.
And became humans. And so in our human existence, what we were supposed to do was to go to an incubation stage of the mummy that you see Osiris wrapped in the mummy.
Right.
Which was a cocoon. And it was a cooking vessel to cook the soul into perfection and sift out the flaws that made us fall in the first place. You see, there was a flaw in us that made us fall in the first place. And for so many years, millions of years, we had to sift out the certain flaws to perfection.
Right.
Thus leads us to the present situation of the perfected stone, the philosopher's stone, or the great works, or the golden fleece, the holy grail, the Excalibur, all these different systems that tell you about this perfection. The Christos, the Christ form, which is the perfected soul, perfected stone. So what happened was we took on a physical existence. Now, when we first took on this physical existence, we could maneuver just as gods. And that's where you get your Lemurian and your Atlantean periods. Okay. So we were into what is called a semi-physical world. So in those particular days, the physical world was like a faint shadow, and the spiritual world was clear. As the vibratory rate fell and we became more encased into the physical, the spiritual world became a faint shadow and the physical world became visible. And we sunk lower and lower into humanism, into a particular aspect. We used to have multiple gifts: clairvoyance, clairaudio. We could fly. We could do just about everything you see a superhero can do.
Right.
And it was maybe hundreds of different gifts that was reduced down to the 7 or the 5 senses that we ended up with, the 5 senses. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that primal world was covered over. That God form was covered over with something called the elder seal or the elder sign, and was covered over with now what you call the physical brain. The physical brain is the enemy, and humanity is the enemy. And up under the physical brain is the primal world, which is the pineal gland. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Which is the pineal gland. And so we're talking about an incubation period, which the inner worlds, which is the pineal gland, the kundalini energies, the chakras, there's 160 chakras. You see what I'm saying?
Body, right. Yeah.
Yes, And when you look up into space, when you can see these chakras and you can see these particular souls, when you look up in space, those are the souls that's down here inside of the human body, covered up, and we are dreaming outwardly. So we have a series of dreams that we call the illusionary phenomenon that we call reality. It's nothing but a trick from the brain. Right. You see what I'm saying? To give us a series of illusions that don't even exist while the souls slept. And as the souls slept, these series of dreams became known as the ego. And the ego, the self that you identify with now, that what you call yourself a human.
Right.
And as that, and it supposedly thinks that it is real, but it is not. It is only a construct or a projection of one's dreams coming from the soul. So, we created, go ahead.
I was going to say that is perfect because I do have some questions about the soul. I just want to interject to everybody.
Yes.
Welcome again. We are listening to Brother Bobby Hemmett. In just a short moment, we will start to open up the phone lines. So if you have a question and you want to call in, you can definitely go ahead and reach us at 646-652-2711, and we'll go ahead and try to get to your questions. So, Bobby, you know, with all of that being said and really trying to pull this together, that definitely takes me to the question that I did have for you, and I want you to see, I know we sort of talked about it and you mentioned it, about the 8 primordial gods and goddesses. If you can speak on that, and also a question that has come up several different times, I know, with the conscious community and those of us who study these particular areas, did the gods ever walk the face of the earth? And you're saying, yes, they did. And so my question now is, do they walk the face of the earth now?
No, okay. Okay. All right. With the 8 primordial gods on earth, they later on became the 8 chakras. You got 7 major chakras. They got one called the 8th chakra, or the height. You see what I'm saying? As far as major chakras, your 8 primordial deities, which used to be, you know, you could even go with a later mythology of Isis, Osiris, Horus, Set, the Nut, Geb, so on. Those primordial deities. They exist within us as the chakras, and naturally the Horus, which would be the final implementation, would be the pineal gland, the Horus or the Mayat, because there's a dual figure. It's an androgynous figure called Hor, Ma, which is Mayat, Ku. Horus and Mayat are Heru, Ma, Ku. Heru and Mayat in a pyramid. Ku means pyramid. So Mayat would also be a form of the pineal gland, the finishing form of that. So the Mayat, most people think that it's physical principles, and yes, they used to have the same principles to govern society, but Mayat means a perfection. In the spirit world, it means the perfecting the last result. It's called the tikkun in Kabbalah, the perfecting principle. You see what I'm saying? So, Heru Har-Ma-Ku, Har-Ma-Ku. So the primordial deities later on became encased in the human body as the chakra systems. Now, it's interesting here.
Okay, family. So that particular clip was from Master Teacher Bobby Hemmett, Who We Really Are, and that was an interview with Sis Miss Blue off of the YouTube channel BU King True Universal Teacher. So, Brother Wendell, did you want to put anything on there before I start with my little 2 cents or my 1 cent?
I wish Bobby would change his mind and come on back.
I know. I miss him. Dr. Dilbert Blair was like my first introduction on the metaphysics side when I really started studying. And then Bobby was like my second. And I just fell in love with Bobby. Loved them both, but Bobby just so down to earth and comical, funny as hell. So I wish that he would come back. I know that he had the stroke and he's recovering. I haven't seen any more information on him. It's probably going on 2 years now. He did a video on YouTube, just kind of telling everybody how he was doing, and he was still in therapy and recovering. So, yeah, I wish he would come back too. I really missed him. I learned a lot from Brother Bobby. He even, through his teachings, I gained confidence in going a little further, walking that spiritual rope, getting into performing rituals, which, you know, opened up a lot more doors for me from a spiritual perspective. So I'm with you as well. I miss my brother Bobby Hemmett. So we love you, brother, and we miss you. So yeah, that particular video, it really took me back because I had heard that entire interview before. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the entire thing. I could only get that snippet. But what really brought it home to me, what we're talking about tonight, you are the aliens, because you don't get anything out of this. What I want you to get and to realize, to enter and understand that your particular origins, your bloodline runs much, much further back than what we're being told, number one. And then number two, it crosses across other planets. And like Brother Wendell said, you have to go back further. It crosses across other galaxies. Okay? So that's just from a bloodline perspective that you are an alien. If you look at it from a spiritual aspect, time and time again, if the more you study, you will see that some of us are incarnating, coming back to this planet over and over again. Some of it is to learn new lessons. Some of it is on spiritual assignment. What I loved about this particular clip from Brother Bobby Hemmett, he even went so far as to say that we are the parents of some of the other ancient gods that are, quote, quote, being worshipped. Okay. And a lot of us came back for this particular time period that we're in. And you'll hear me talk about this all the time, where we are going to jump to the dimension. And I truly believe that we're wavering in dimensions to bring up the planet to a higher vibration. Okay? So the point I'm making again is that you are the alien. Your source is from that dark matter. It is in your DNA. Okay, so with that, I'm going to yield in case Brother Wendell, you want to put something on it. Anybody else want to join the conversation? Press 1 to get in the queue. Okay. All right. We're going to move on. So the next clip we are going to discuss. Let me see if I have it. I want to make sure because I don't want to tease y'all like that and it didn't upload. I don't know what happened to all my clips. And that one didn't upload either. I was going to play the one that we talked about earlier. I do have it. This is the one about the hidden self, about black people getting out of a UFO. So this is the clip that we talked about earlier. So I'm going to play that. Here we go.
Greetings, Nazir Ra. Are there black extraterrestrials? Gradations of Anunnaki going up to your Etherians. They manifest as so-called Anunnaki. I'm going to break this whole thing down. But I wanted to put on that Parliament. Parliament talks about partying on the mothership. Parliament talks about we are here to reclaim the pyramids. Star Child here. Why is that? Why is this brother, he's talking about funk music and dance music. Why is he talking about Sweet Chariot, Let Me Ride? Swing down, sweet chariots. Talk about the New Jerusalem. It's talking about, let me go ahead and go in. Watch this clip.
Okay, but if there are craft, there are beings.
Okay, people have asked me about, I call them vehicles, okay?
Right.
Now, I did not call them objects. That was too neuter for me.
Okay.
I had a Stanford professor say you ought to call them objects. No. They have all the qualities of a vehicle. Mm-hmm. They can move. They're just like a missile or anything like that. So that much we can say about them, for sure.
Okay.
So I'm calling it a vehicle.
Okay.
Okay, somebody comes along and says, well, now, where would you manufacture one that's 2.5 Earth lengths long? And that's a hard question to answer.
So are you not positing the idea that those vehicles contain, beings who are, maybe like us?
Yeah, I only go along with government images. And if you want to know about people kind of thing, there is the ship that picked up the Voyager capsule at Alameda Naval Shipyard, and they have a picture there of I think it's the Apollo flight that Buzz and Neil were on. But anyway, there's one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black. Yeah.
Were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
well, what?
Safe. 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Have you heard about Clark McClellan's statement about that?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Have you ever been in touch with him?
No.
No?
There is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black. Yeah.
Were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
well, what?
Safe. 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Now, you just heard it from a scientist who worked at NASA. You just heard it. 7 foot at least. That's a midget when you talk about these particular beings. The real height is 9 plus, 8.5 to 9 to 12 feet tall. Master geneticists. So you can imagine what their bodies look like. You can imagine how powerful they are. They were master geneticists, and they were the ones who originally upgraded human beings. These are the individuals where it says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. So not only does the original man look like these entities or gods, but they act like them as well. Just like your mama says, you know what, you just like your father. Say absolutely, thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the compliment. Our fathers, our divine fathers and mothers come from the stars. Let me go ahead and go in, because a lot of people are talking about this, and this stuff is about to be revealed very shortly, and it's going to change everything. It's going to change everything. you have many different life forms in this particular galaxy. You have insectoids, you have reptoids, you have everything you could, anything that can exist does exist. Process that. The atmosphere was dwindling. They needed to secure minerals from different outposts in the outer rims of their particular empire for gold, certain crystals, certain minerals such as rubies. This is where the argon energy comes from. We talk about the raw power generators with the crystals, copper. All of these things were being mined on Earth, on the moon, and on Mars. You can research more about that. Earth, the moon, and Mars. They've been finding, cranes on the moon. They're finding things that look like a refinery on the moon. They're finding faces, African-looking faces on Mars. They just found pyramids bigger than Giza off the coast of under the water near Bermuda. So you have that. You have all of the mounds being in here. So it's a whole older world of advanced technology that existed way before all of this. Not only are they up to 12 feet tall, they have woolly hair, okay, just like they described Jesus, having hair like lamb's wool. And to be even more precise, that vision that John had in the book of Revelation was a vision of Melchizedek. That was the Ancient of Days. But it's all one and the same because Senenda, also known as Yeshua, or quote-unquote Jesus, was after the order of the King of Peace, who is Melchizedek. So woolly hair, very large almond eyes, very muscular, very voluptuous, very beautiful, and powerful beings. So they were mining. People started to get upset with all of the hard work. People were not interested in doing that. So what happened, people would break off and just run off and live on the particular planet. They were too intelligent. It came to pass that they realized that there was two different species developing on the planet at the time. You had those called the Meldecs, who were in the sea. And this is where you get the idea of the green reptoid type of being with webbed fingers and things of this nature. And you had the Lulu Amalu, which is the primitive ones, the black-headed people, Lulu Amalu. And these were the original mammalian hominid species on this particular planet. Very closely similar to the Homo erectus that was developing on this planet. Homo erectus, erect meaning to stand upright. Not only did they have the exterior technology, such as what we have today, we have a lot of exterior technology, they had inner technology, okay? Inner technology is the ability to do things without the external technology. Well, I don't have to call you on the phone, I contact you by way of the mind. I don't need to get on the train or have a car because I know how to dematerialize and things of this nature, or to not even have to go there physically. And this is called remote viewing. This is something that humans could do. You can train yourself to do this as well. All of these things are now coming to pass. It's all being revealed. And the reason why I say it's all being revealed because revelation happens in the mind. And a lot of people, they won't accept it until they see someone that they've been programmed, according to this matrix, according to society, say it. And then they come to Nazir Ra and he said, you know what, it's true. NASA just said it. This guy, he used to work for NASA, and he said that he saw 7-foot black people come out of a spaceship. So you're right. It's interesting. But it's all to be expected. The Nunaki.
All right, family. So that particular video is off of the YouTube channel, The Hidden Self. Black people came out of a U.S. UFO. NASA confirmed. And so that he also threw in there, and I think he goes by the name O'Shea, O-S-E-I, also, that particular brother. He has a lot of other good videos. But anyhow, within his particular clip, he kind of took a snippet out of the video that Brother Wendell was talking about, that the scientist saying off of Saturn's ring, he saw a spaceship parked. And the beings that came off of that spaceship were black beings. And I think the name of that full video is what is it, Brother Wendell? The Rings of Saturn? I think that's the full name.
The Rainmakers of Saturn.
Okay, the Rainmakers of Saturn. Okay, so did you have anything you wanted to put on there, Brother Wendell? And anybody else that had anything they want to add to the conversation, press 1 to get in the queue.
No. Good.
Okay. Doggone it. 313. I'm not sure if you have a question. We had 2 313s, so I'm getting confused. I'm going to open up your line. If not, I apologize. So I'm going to come to you, 313. Your line is open. Did you have a question? Okay. I don't think you did. Okay, the board's kind of getting funky there. It said that you had a question with a whole time. Okay. Alrighty. So what I liked about his particular video, again, he actually, Brother Wendell, kind of started to go into a little bit of the story of the Anunnaki when he talked about, the beings, the Anunnaki rather, or we could say beings that were working, that were doing the work, that were mining, and they didn't want to do the work no more. And so they start slicing and dicing, doing genetics to come up with other beings. And that comes directly out of Zachariah Sitchin's The Lost Book of Enki, and it was also found in other texts as well. So he did kind of touch on that. I like that, how he touched on and kind of put in perspective that you as a being in this particular realm, a melanated being, how I said before, how your origins go back further than this realm. Okay, so I like how he put that in perspective as well. Did you have anything else you want to add, Brother Wendell, before we move on?
He said no.
Okay, so I am going to try. Let me see if I have this video about how it is hidden with the melanated beings also being the aliens. Let me see if I can find it. Yep. Okay. Let me start with this. Let me give you my source. Negroid melanated ETs, massive cover-up by UFO whistleblowers. Black Martians are here. And this is from a sister, Fleur Brun, FLEURBRUN. That is her YouTube channel. She also drops a lot of good videos. She does a lot of spiritual work, connecting into these other dimensions, and she brings back some profound information. So we're actually going to get into 2 of her clips because she brings very good information. But this first clip is exposing the cover-up of the whole UFO phenomena on this planet. Mainstream media is really painting the picture, rather, that is a Caucasian phenomenon. And specifically, whenever they mention these particular ETs, I never really see them in mainstream media at all indicate that they are melanated. Again, the closest that they did was by indirectly putting it out there with Marvin the Martian. So anyhow, that sister is going to go into this whole big cover up and also discuss a few other things. So here we go.
What up, YouTube? This is Fleur coming to you to discuss a topic that I didn't finish on. My video actually cut off accidentally, so I didn't get a chance to finish my last video, which was about black negroid melanated ETs that are inhabiting what I know to be here on this planet existing, and then also I believe they have a colony on Mars, which are purely melanated Negroid ETs, Martians. Why I'm making such a big deal about the word Negroid, which is not even utilized in our language, is if you watch a lot of videos where the person happens to say that they saw ETs that were not the typical grays that you hear about, or the Nordics, which are supposedly like 7 feet tall, blonde, blue-eyed ETs, or the reptilians, which could be any complexion, usually green, arrangement, maybe blue, but they never bring up the fact that there are reptilians that are black, brown. And I notice on a lot of clips, the biggest thing that they tell, and I'm really concerned, I had this conversation with a friend, is why is it not being disclosed, first of all, that there are black ETs that are Negroid, and on a lot of the clips where these disclosures are coming out with people having contact these who had contact with these melanated ETs, the first thing that they say is they're black, and then they'll automatically afterwards say not Negroid, and it makes me think they've been censored, and that's concerning that the UFO community doesn't even want this information coming out that there are black Negroid ETs. We never make that distinguish. If someone's black, usually they just say they're black, but for some reason on a lot of these clips they notate that as soon as the person will say black, they'll say not Negroid, and that's not even a natural state of language. No one even says that anymore, so we know that they've been got at behind the scenes, and this is the UFO community that's censoring this and doesn't want this knowledge to come about, and that's really, really sad. But I'm here to let you know, people of planet Earth, that yes, the majority of ETs that are coming here, and I know this as fact, and we can get into that later, are black Negroid ETs. Those are the same ETs that have been ruling this planet for a long time, and were the original visitors that came here and mixed their DNA with some of the indigenous brown people, melanated Negroids, living on the surface of the planet, because obviously if you're living on any surface of any planet, you're going to have melanation living under the sun. That's why there's Olmec heads on every part of the United States, every continent. You will see it. And Negroid, I gotta keep saying it because I'm uncensored, Negroid black Olmec heads on every point of the United States and every country. China, parts of Asia, every part of Asia. Obviously, they're a little more open about that. And recently, I just heard on a show that a gentleman was a truck driver. To make a long story short, he took over a route for a white gentleman, black guy, and he went to do his guy's route, taking over for the gentleman who was sick, and he had to go through this, what it looked like he made a turn to like an underground tunnel facility or something, but it's like an underground highway. So when he got to a checkpoint inside, he was a little nervous because he couldn't turn his rig around. The guy inside, which was a white gentleman, said to him, they don't let black people down here. So as concerned as the truck driver was, there wasn't much he could do. So the gentleman directed him straight to the nearest exit out of this underground facility, underground highway, governmental facility. And as this gentleman is riding, now this gentleman has accounted this on Blog Talk Radio, on one of Dr. Delbert Blair's podcasts. As he's driving, he's seeing these huge, monumental, because the ceilings in this underground facility were, he said it was so high up, it was ridiculous, it was amazing. And as he's driving a little further in, he's seeing these huge monuments that are Olmec heads. He didn't say they were Olmec heads, he said they were big, huge heads that were African, looking like Negroid. I'm saying it, yeah. black ETs are Negroid. I didn't think there was a distinguish, but you got to stop lying, MUFON, and all these other ET people and making up lies. It doesn't matter. There's a whole bunch of ETs, but why are you not telling the people of color, yes, there is intelligent life, and yes, they do look like you black people, and they are you. I don't see what the big deal is. Anyway, so the guy drives, he's seeing these omega heads, but as he's driving, he's seeing them covering them up with concrete, like pouring concrete on top of them to I guess, to just get rid of them or to cover them up. Amazing. Thank you. America's a beautiful place. You're so honest and so forthcoming. God bless you. Anyway, so my topic of discussion is melanated ETs. What is the secret? Why are you hiding it? They exist. They actually are here. I know quite a few contactees, more so now than years ago, because I guess, in the black community, if you start talking about ETs, the church folk want to take you out. Sorry. Anyhow, but the truth of the matter is this is information that is very relative and relevant to everyone, and this goes to show how deep racism really goes. Racism is really just a system of illusion. Number one, I believe it is non-existent only in your frame of consciousness. So if you believe it exists, but it's amazing how even in the UFO and the extraterrestrial community, that these people still hold that consciousness to be able to withhold or to talk to someone before they interview them so that this information does not get leaked out. And that's concerning that in the ET community this can even occur. So I'm blowing your spot, people. Come on now. I forgot on what video they were talking about the different races of people and different ETs. I mean, there's such a misinformation about the melanated ETs. It's amazing. We know that on Mars there is a huge colony. I mean, more than we could ever imagine, and they're all mostly melanated Negroid. Let me get that right, Negroid. I'm a Negroid. I'm going to introduce myself as a Negroid, a black woman, a melanated woman, and I'm proud of it. And I'm going to give a shout out to MUFON and your people and all you ET and UFO enthusiasts and all you interdimensional and interdimensional and I'm saddened for you. I'm saddened because if you can be so slighted and so dishonest in your supposedly whistleblowing, it's really telling of who you really are. Because if you can't let someone such as me, let's just say I'm an innocent bystander, know that there are extraterrestrials that have limitless technology and are far intelligence is nothing. I mean, they're just highly developed entities that look like me. Then you have some issues. Did you ever think why Obama won? I'm not into politics because I think it's all run by the same system. Democrats, Republicans, it's all the same nest, and we know that the reptilians are shape-shifting up in there in Congress and the White House and Buckingham Palace and all that Satanist stuff. Anyway, and in the next video we'll get into cracking the matrix, which is no, I know I'm done. So we'll get into sigils and rituals and why the occult has been taboo, so that it keeps you, the average Joe or Jill, or I'm not fond of that, the average person or gal, the knowledge that would help to spiritually unlock some of those codons in you that were meant to elevate at this particular time in the shift of the planet. So, what are your comments about the melanated ETs?
All right, family. So, okay, sorry about that. Okay, so that video was off of the YouTube channel, Flebrun, sister. It's spelled FleurbruN. She has a lot of other good videos on the spiritual metaphysics side. And that particular video, the reason I picked it, I actually love that. And I think she just recently posted that. It's called Negroid Melanated ET Massive Cover-Up by UFO Whistleblower. So just, still going back to the same topic of the show, you are the alien. Once again, we're, taking you on this exploration that your source as a entity, as a being, goes beyond this planet. So whether or not you want to believe, and only you can answer that question when you go within yourself, if you have incarnated or reincarnated to this planet, or you've been here before, bottom line is just because of your DNA structure, your origin goes far beyond this planet. Some say billions of years old, based on our studies that we did when Brother Wendell broke down the book, The Lost Book of Enki. Damn, what was that number? I don't know if it was in the tablets. I don't know if it was quadrillions. It was some doggone number so astronomical.
Trillion.
Yeah, it was just a really, really large number, okay? That is the origins of your ancestors. So you are essentially the alien or the extraterrestrial, your DNA that they speak of. So real quick announcement for those of you that are joining us online. We're going into overtime. If you want to continue with us, you need to dial in. You have about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. You have to dial in at 929-477-3858. Again, that's 929-477-3858. Okay, Brother Wendell, did you want to put anything on, any extra on what the sis just put out there?
Nothing other than that's part of these people's MO is to cover up the truth.
Mm-hmm.
They go so far to pour concrete over it.
Yeah, I didn't hear that part.
They'll do anything to hide evidence.
Absolutely, and I don't know where I was. I must have took a break because I was actually on that particular show. I was listening in to Dr. Blair's broadcast when he did that, and it was that he had a truck driver, a melanated truck driver, come on, and I must have missed that part where he saw they asses pouring concrete on them. But I do remember he said that they were covered up with this canvas cloth. And it was at an underground facility that the brother was making a truck delivery to them. Absolutely. So anybody else that want to join the conversation, press 1 to get in the queue. So I'm going to go into, it's going to be a lot of clips tonight, family, because I want to give you kind of a wide variety from different sources, giving you the information and giving you a little bit of background on melanated being from these other star systems, these other galaxies. So this next clip is by the same sister, Flebrun, and these are, and we kind of talked about this a little bit last week with the big head scientist when he started talking about the grays. So grays are not grays. Melanated ETs return to free the people of consciousness. So we're going to play this video. This is by, again, Sister Flebrun. And those of you that are online, you have less than a minute. You'll have to dial in to join us. And if not, thank you very much for joining us. And we'll see you next week. So here we go, family. We're going to go ahead and play the clip from the sis, Grays or Not Grays.
What up, YouTube. This is Florboon. I just wanted to make a quick video about some of the things that are occurring and some of the things that are coming about in the ET, information. I, again, as you know, I sometimes talk about the melanated ETs, the Negroid ETs. I say that only to say that there's been a blackout of information regarding melanated ETs, ETs that are our ancestors, what I know to be, and are really reminiscent of who we are at our core and at our, our probably just, obviously they're the ancestors that came here and colonized and, hybrid us, because we are, all of us are pretty much hybrids of the originals, and they're here. So I wanted to make a quick video because a lot is coming out. I want to keep you guys kind of updated on some of the information I'm getting, and through my contactee friends who are also melanated. Big ups to PV, who's one of the contactees. He's a comedian in LA, and he's been really, really phenomenal in getting information, exchanging with myself, and just really talking about, we're kind of just unraveling the truth about the melanated ETs. That MUFON will have you know, Project Camelot will throw you off kilter. So, that's my opinion. I'm not blaspheming anybody, but that's just my opinion. Anyhow, we've come to find out that a lot of people who talk about the grays, a lot of people will, it's just a big thing that we have like grays, like by Area 51, they'll have like, gray T-shirts with gray aliens with big eyes. And we're starting to unravel that is a falsehood. First of all, if any ETs are coming here, just like when we go to the moon or we travel outside of our atmosphere, we wear protective gear. We wear usually space suits, what we consider to be space suits that protect us against the elements, and also giving us breathing apparatuses because we can't breathe in certain other atmospheres because we're made up a certain way biologically. You could make the same assumption that any entity that's coming here is not coming bucket naked. And the fact that we've been misled to believe that these naked biological creatures are coming here butt naked, just with their skin, gray skin, and walking around. No, I'm telling you that we've kind of uncovered the fact that any gray that you've been heard about being gray, that's not the case. It's not their skin that's gray. We know to be that some of the melanated ETs are wearing hazmat suits or space suits that are, silver in texture, very close to the skin, so it's very fitting. Just like if you wear a leotard or anything close to the skin, they're more advanced creatures. They're not going to wear like big bulky ones. We're actually novices in traveling to the other galaxies and other planets and so on. So our suits are just bulky and big. But come to find out, as we're listening to a lot of accounts of contactee experiences, these entities that are approaching us, which we know some to be, because there's not all just melanated ETs. There's so many facets of ETs. I just talk about it because it's not really spoken about that there are melanated ETs. And most of the ETs coming here to our planet are us. They look like us. Anyhow, they're wearing gray suits, tight-fitted suits, and apparatuses over their face that protect them from all the parasites. And our planet is toxic. They've got chemtrails, contrails, all kinds of viruses. We're covered with parasites, and so it makes sense that if they come to do any contact with us, they're going to protect themselves against the elements on the planet. Also, from some of the contactee experiences, I believe, that I know, when we go up there and they do take us up, we go through a detoxing, or like there's like a violet room that gets everything off of us when we go up on these ships or these crafts. When they do take us up, they put us in a quarantined area where there is like a violet light. And you ever see that violet flame meditation, and they're like, oh, envision yourself in violet flames to, clear your auric patterns or your chakras. It's amazing that we're pulling this information from our consciousness, from our internal consciousness, because from all the accounts that I'm hearing, that when we do go up there and they take us up there, they put us in a quarantine room where there's a violet light, and it clears us from all parasites. It kind of cleanses us so that we are able to be in contact with any of the entities on that craft without harming them. So, we're not the healthiest creatures in the world. Anyhow, so come to find out, the grays are just gray suits. So we need to change our format of thinking that the gray creatures are these gray creatures, skinny with like bigger heads. They do have bigger heads, but also they're wearing apparatuses not only on their body that's gray, but on their face. So though the eyes are very big and melanated, as I believe all the ETs are, we're not quite sure how their facial features, other than knowing some of the ancestors, the Anunnaki were believed to be really, really big, melanated, negroid ETs that were, their height was magnificent, they're very, very tall creatures. And some of the giants that are also located in Iran and in Iraq are still residing there in those areas. And when, United States went over there to go, secure the stargates that are over there, that's another conversation. I want to make this a quick video. There's some stargates over there. And anytime we make actions to go into another country, best believe there's some subsidiary agenda that you and I have no inkling of, and nor would they share that with us. So supposedly there's some stargates over in Iraq that they've secured, so that during this time of a shift, when we would go into a planetary position where that stargate would open, not only would we be able to go over to some of these other worlds, these entities would be able to enter into ours. So they knew this time was coming, and they wanted to secure it so that our ancestors who are returning, which I've heard are also located in South Africa and Africa right now, excuse me, assisting with the government, have returned to reset the clock and make things right and make things more cohesive for the people of color. And thus, here comes about the Ebola. And I want to give you guys some heads up with the Ebola. It is just to put fear in your head. Disease is something that you create, and it's a form of consciousness that can enter into you. So please, keep at bay the fear. All this against the people of color. Again, listen, we're all one. We've reincarnated. We've come in every race and color. So I don't want to make this about race, but there is obviously an attack against the melanated people, because they are reminiscent of the originals, which are really hybrided ETs from our ancestors. So I want to let you know that just keep that at bay. That is just, they're coming at us left and right, these entities that are, shape-shifting all over the place. And remember, just about the shape-shifting, I always bring that up, and I probably never go into that. It is not that they're shape-shifting. It is that they're messing with your perception. They're able to telepathically alter your perception of them. So they're not actually changing shape. They're changing your perception of how you see them. So though you may see them as human here, they are altering your perception of their visual, and they are actually that entity, that other creature, other dimensional creature walking around, reptilian, whatever, what have you, but you don't see them as that. So we're actually working at ways to kind of break down their control over our perception. And you can do that with your nutrition. You can do that with meditation. Start raising your vibration, and then they can't mess with you and how you perceive them. But reptilians, they're starting to show up, and we actually, well, we'll get into that next video. You can, we're messing with trying to decipher, and once we learn how to do it, I'm gonna blow the spot on the YouTube page. so you guys can try it too. So I just want to kind of put it out there that the Greys are not what you think. That's another misappropriation of information to make you further clueless of what's really going on. The Anunnaki are here presently, and many of them are residing in Africa, and I believe they're probably all over. I just know of that particular in South Africa, there's a big presence of the ancestors who've come back. And remember, they cannot alter our destiny. We have control. We have full control over what occurs right now. So I want to tell you, family, start just, changing your perception. Live in non-fear. You are an everlasting soul. At least some of you are. If you don't have a soul, then I understand why you're, coming here trying to confuse us. But for the most part, many of us are changing, and many of the people of color who are, full hybrids from, created like the originals, we are waking up. And allow that to happen. Stay away from the negativity. It's all, and you change your perception, your environment outside of you will change as well. So the melanated ETs can only do as much as you create and change yourself. But I just want to put that information out that the Greys are not what you think. Now, there is a biological entity that is created by the melanated ETs, like almost like fetuses that, they grow these artificial entities that are short, little gray-looking creatures. They are those. But there has been a high amount of misinformation based on Greys. Like, we're mixing up the two. There are some entities that are here that are sent down by the other ETs to do work. Sometimes it's to test the environment. They're like little scientists. They do all the jobs here. Like if they go and have to maybe get someone to do testing on or to bring up to the craft, they will send these little biological entities, what look like little gray, but they're really fetuses that have been grown inside of a tube, and they're biological robots, basically. But there are other entities also that are reminiscent of those little gray creatures. But I think we're mixing up too many different types of ETs. There's so many, but we know that there are melanated ETs that are coming down here wearing hazmat suits that are silver, that are gray, very tight fitting to their body with apparatuses, and sometimes they use a voice altering because they don't use. They don't talk. We're very low we're very low in the totem pole of evolution. So we still use our mouth for communication. They use a form of telepathy. But sometimes when we're not able to decipher what they're saying in our heads, they do utilize a speaking app.
All right, family. So that video was again from the sis with the YouTube channel Flebron. And that is named Greys Are Not Greys, Melanated ETs Return to Free the People of Consciousness, Closing Stargates. Okay, Brother Wendell, you want to put something on that? Because she threw in a lot in that 13 minutes. I think she hit a lot of excellent points. So I'll yield so you can put something on it.
Yeah, it makes sense what she's saying. This planet has been kind of perverted, and it's actually toxic, like she's saying. It makes perfect sense for them to come here with suits on, because in the information we went over, they always came here in their little fishy suit.
Yep.
And their Eagles helmet.
Yep. And I like the fact her explanation was the best that I've heard about the Greys, because remember last week we played the clip from Big Head Scientist, and he was saying that the Greys are the melanated. So, but now it makes perfect sense, because we do have the melanated ETs coming here dressed up in those, but she did clarify that though there are other gray beings that they created to do work. And that goes back, that came directly out of the Lost Book of Enki, talking about the particular graves that they had created for the purpose of working. And also when we were studying, what's the name of that tablet? I can't think about it right now. But another one of the tablets also said that the graves were created for the purpose of working. But her explanation was the best by far, explaining how graves can be melanated beings. They're really just melanated beings in the gray suits. And then I also liked how she broke down, saying once again, now kind of what blew my wig back, Brother went down, when she said that where she say the Anunnaki are, what location did she say that they are?
South Africa.
Exactly. So that kind of blew my wig back, because I remember when we were studying the Lost Book of Enki, you talked about that South African connection being an important connection, because it was, didn't they set up a spaceport there?
They had a statue of Anu down there.
I knew that part. Then that's the part I was getting to. Yes, because to this day, there's an interview out there, and we went over that before on the show, where there's literally a statue of Anu in South Africa. But I think South Africa was one of the locations that they mined for gold, if I'm not mistaken.
That's where they were mining. That's where they were mining gold in down.
Okay. So that's where the Anunnaki, that's who we're referring to, was mining gold. So when that sister said, and yes, they are here, and right now they're located in South Africa, and I'm like, oh, shit, that kind of connects it all together. So that was a very good clip from that sister. If you want to join the conversation, press 1 to get in the queue. Otherwise, Brother Wendell, unless you have something else to put on it, I did want to switch gears and go to Dr. Malachi York. He did, and I've played this video before. Let me make sure I have it before I damn say it. There's some of my videos coming up missing, and it's really, really ticking me off. Okay, let me see. Yep, I got it. Okay, so Dr. Malachi York was doing a lecture. I played this before on the show. It's been a while back, but it does warrant revisiting. And the name of the video is Who and What You Are. And so this comes off of a YouTube channel called MRMAB19. But I've seen it other places as well. So again, this is from an excerpt off of a lecture Dr. York did back in the day, and it's called Who and What You Are. It's about 10 minutes. We're going to play this, chop it up, and we're going to end up with Brother Master Teacher Phil Valentine, and then we're going to close out. So let me play this one. I just had it. Oh, this new one, finding the videos can be a little tricky, y'all, so bear with me here. There we are. Okay.
This is why in South America, when they look over the sky and they see this image of this bird on the ground, that is his school. So certain arriving masses to this plane knew what school they would go to. Each galactical, body had their own school on this planet. Muslims don't realize it. Throughout the Holy Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about angelic beings coming to earth, you've turned them because of Christianity in the 18th century into little white babies with wings when you're talking about celestial, terrestrial beings or extraterrestrial beings who have been visiting y'all for a long period of time. Because some of you are the sons and daughters of extraterrestrials who came here, and you have to be brought back to power to defend this planet against the destruction by Azazel and what they refer to as Lucifer, and the other 200 fallen angels, which were again extraterrestrial beings who invaded this planet 6,000 or 5,000 some odd years ago and have been ruling, and have caused the masses to either hover or to go into the subterranean parts of the planet, and they just come up to either ascend to the earth to teach man, or they will make intergalactical communications, leave and come back. And this is what Elijah saw. This is what Jesus said when he said he was caught up in a whirlwind in the cloud and went up. The whirlwind in the cloud is the ship itself. Elijah was taken up in a chariot, and Enoch was translated into heaven by a chariot. It's throughout the scriptures. And 3 men visited Abraham at his tent, and then one went up, and the other 2 went on down into Sodom to try to talk Lot and his family into coming out. You know, these stories that you have interpreted in the scriptures strictly as religious dogma because of the translations by the Christian churches, etc., who had no knowledge of extraterrestrials, they have turned the spiritual community of beings who have existed in other galaxies into gods or into angels and gave them a bunch of names that didn't apply to them. And so you just happen to mention one who is very powerful, Yanun, his name is. They say Yanin, it's pronounced Yanun, depending on the dialect of what galaxy you're in, the pronunciation changes. And the one you described was another one called Rama, who's asking you about Yanin because Yanin is assigned to give you all answers about the things that you need to know in this time and the time that you've come from, to be able to distinguish the 144,000 who would be those extraterrestrial beings, prepare them to create that whirlwind and make that ascension out of this state, which they call the rapture, rising up from the earth while it goes through its turmoil with the Lamb, as they refer to him, which is merely a symbol of a humble being from an extraterrestrial. That's why the Quran says, we sent you down to earth. They keep missing it. It says, when there's a turmoil in the garden in heaven, that we cast you down to earth in the Quran. From where? The angels come down from where? From floating around in the sky. No, they sent you down to Arbuk, which is Earth, the blue planet. They sent you here from other galaxies. When you violated the law, intergalactical law, you was cast down here like prisoners. You all are wayward, as you would call it. I don't know a better word for it. That you all are assigned to a prison. Earth is a prison that you all are in. And you are people who rebel, who would listen to Satan, as you call him, which was Azazel then, or Tanush. You listen to him. You follow? And you've been assigned to earth until you overcome that. Until you turn and give your total reverence to Huwa, Allah, Allazi, La ilaha illa Huwa. But you incorporate in that, even that when you say Huwa, you have to say God, Allah, God, God, Allah. You keep interjecting. You personified him and said he was Master Farad Muhammad, or he was Yahweh ben Yahweh. You always have to do something rather than to just serve the omnipotent source of the Hawa, or way is inside you, the essence of life. So now you've been assigned to this prison, which is called Ardut, the blue rock, earth, until you, what they say, are born again. And born again of what do they say? Of the body or the spirit? Of the spirit. Y'all must be born again of the spirit. You must be transformed from being this mortal being who is destined to die back to immortality. You follow? You must become a supreme being again in order to be worthy of intergalactical traveling again. So now what has happened, the devil's seed is in the earth, mixing in with the God seed, as you'd have it, and it's keeping y'all bound to the planet and creating new dogmas every day, new deviations from the fundamental truth, and calling it religions and sects and all different types of denominations, Sunni, Shia, Ahmadiyya, Bilalian, black Muslims, Hindu, Buddhists, and just creating new dogmas to keep you from seeing the straight of Sirat al-Mustaqim. as they call it, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight way of those who made the pathway through the galaxies. The Sirat, when they say in the Quran, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. It's telling you, I want to be guided. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. I want to be guided to that way. I want to get back out of here.
All right, family. So, again, that is Dr. Malachi Z. York, Who and What You Are. There is another YouTube video out there. If you search on that title, they'll give you that entire lecture. But that particular piece that I played you specifically honed in on the aliens. That was off of a YouTube channel, MRMAB19. So, Brother Wendell, did you have anything you wanted to put on that one before I provide my little 2 cents?
No.
Okay. So, my take on the video, it's kind of still following what we've been discussing. You are the alien, confirming that your DNA, who you are, what your makeup is beyond this planet realm, coming from other multiple galaxies, some billions of years old. What I do like about this particular video, he kind of brought in the story of the fallen angels. And we also talked about that specifically a lot in detail when we were doing the creation story myths and when we were doing the Lost Book of Enki. And we discovered during that series, the creation story myths, and specifically the Lost Book of Enki, who those fallen angels are. And as Dr. York indicated, they were extraterrestrial beings. Okay, but they got renamed angels. Okay, so help me, Brother Wendell. I want to make sure I get the story right, because were some of them Anunnaki and some of them, what was the other being's names? I'm trying to get their little names together. Who were all kicked out. A Gigi. Thank you. A Gigi. That were kicked out. And, but when they got kicked out, weren't they kicked out to Mars first, or they were kicked out somewhere else first? And then they journeyed their way into this realm, if I'm remembering correctly.
They were already kicked out.
From the other solar systems.
They were already they were according to that story, they were already kicked out, and they were serving the Iberians, who were later some of them were called the Anunnaki. And they brought them down to Mars to work on their at the way station. Okay. And then how they wind up coming to Earth was when the dude's name that was put in charge of managing them. What is his name? I know his name. Marduk. How could I forget Marduk's name? Marduk was put in charge of them. So Marduk was given permission to marry somebody from this planet. He invited them, the Gigi, to the little wedding, and they start scheming to come here as well and marry and intermix with the other women of this planet as well. So that's where that whole story of the fallen angels came into play, and they came into the daughters of men and bore them children, and hence the Nephilim. Okay, so this all goes back to us realizing that these stories that we've been taught or we've heard over and over and over again have been misrepresented a lot. Let's get that
clear. And then instead of it being spookism per se, we are talking about beings from other galaxies that came into this realm. And more specifically, you as a melanated people, you have a direct connection DNA to these particular beings. Okay, so that's what I particularly like about that video. So what we're going to do, so press 1 if you want to get in the queue, if you have anything else to put on it. I am going to try to get to 2 more clips. I know we're in overtime because I did want to get in Master Teacher Phil Valentine. Let me make sure I got the video. I saw it. Let me just make sure again. He did a great clip saying black people have, let me make sure, black people have extraterrestrial DNA. And this is off of a YouTube channel, Black Magic 363. They also give this particular YouTube channel, Black Magic 363, they have a lot of great videos on there, so check them out as well. So I sliced and diced this one. There's a part 1 and part 2 of the excerpts. So it's not going to be that much time, but we're going to start with the part 1. Master Teacher Phil Valentine, black people have alien DNA. Here we go.
About and here is global distribution of the DNA series. This is nothing new. This was already known by most of the scientists because there are books written by the early medical scientists who went to study African peoples, who went to study indigenous peoples to the land south of the equator where the people are darker and more richly melanated. And they wrote a series of medical books attesting to the difference between melanated peoples and white peoples, to the point where their apothecaries and their pharmacies created drugs differently because they had a specifically specialized effect on melanated peoples as opposed to white peoples. For instance, white peoples have more metal in their medicines than black people can tolerate. So they made most of their medicines so that they could not interface. They had to put more metal into them because the Caucasoid is so deficient of iron. Whereas peoples of color have a rich uplaying of dark iron. That's why you get your dark, black, richly melanated color, is because of the fact that your face and your body has laid up iron in it. But to see, the problem is you are like an earth without the plants and the soil and the flowers that grow from it. In other words, back in the days when you had a dark, rich, black earth color, you gave off a greenish, bluish hue. Like you can go today to Senegal and watch those brothers and sisters stand in that sun, and they are so black they shine blue.
That's true.
But people don't know what the secret to that kind of melanin means. And it means that there are times when our people moving through consciousness as the true earth creatures, that at times when we were in the sun or when we would think a certain emotional thought, one of the chakras would tell us immediately where your thoughts were focused, and you would vibrate that particular color in accordance with your emotions. That's because you were in tune and your melanin was not disjointed and fragmented. It was connected directly to the interlacing conduits that connected directly to your nervous system. And that nervous system, through its own conduits, connected directly to the etheric body that you had, which is called the breath form, which you commonly call the soul. So your soul, through the nerve estuaries and the electromagnetic wiring in your body, connected you directly to your skin. And the soul had its outward representation in the way that the molecules and the atoms formed you to imitate the triple blackness, because from the blackness came the light, but in order for the light to know itself, it had to be housed back in the blackness. You see.
All right. So that particular video was from brother or master teacher Phil Valentine. Black people have extraterrestrial DNA. So that was a slice of that video, kind of giving you the chemistry makeup of melanated people, about the iron and the DNA makeup. And it's interesting because I heard someone say, I think this was a brother, I can't remember who told me this, so forgive me. But anyhow, I heard a brother say one time that the reason that melanated folk struggle with iron deficiency, and specifically melanated women. Now, although we know supposedly because of the menses or the menstrual cycle, that you lose a lot of blood, so hence you lose a lot of iron. But particularly melanated women are always have problems with their iron and their blood being low. Okay, so I heard this brother say, and I can't remember who said it, that that the reason for that is because the makeup in our DNA, because we are from other solar systems, particular planet, did not have a high enough iron content. And so that's why particularly the melanated women that are having the menses struggle with keeping that iron count high. So when I ran across Master Teacher Phil Valentine talking about the DNA makeup, it kind of brought me back to what that brother was saying. And he was saying also that the high content of iron in our blood also helped with the greenish, quote, quote, hue that we had in these other solar systems, or that blue-black. And I know some of you heard that term, or almost every melanated person in their family calls somebody either black because their skin is so dark, or you calling them blue. That's their nickname, blue. And you calling them blue because their skin is so dark, they use the term blue-black. It almost looks blue, okay? So that's kind of the science behind that. So before I move on to the last video, Brother Wendell, did you have anything you wanted to put on that?
I've been intending to go and see what Phil talk about nowadays. I ain't heard him in a while.
Yeah, he if you want to hear his latest, he goes on to Underground Railroad YouTube radio show. UGR.
I listen to Underground Railroad from time to time.
Yeah, I haven't seen any interviews pop up, I would say, over the last 4 or 5 months, but I do know that he checks in with them quite regularly. Yeah. Yep, for sure. Okay, so we're going to do the last little clip. I know we're running into overtime with Master Teacher Phil Valentine going in a little bit more about the melanated people having the extraterrestrial DNA. So this is the second slice from that YouTube clip. Here we go.
To attach themselves along the DNA. Now, this DNA has these little signatures here because through your body every day, there are waveforms, light waveforms, that are constantly bombarding through your body, more refined, giving you information. And that information that's coming from the outside in the form of light and in the form of your emotions and the form of your thought processes, in the form of the electromagnetic energies in your nerves, are passing through the DNA as well. Okay? Now, each amino is a microprocessor of light signature frequencies. It's an antenna for the reception of light codes. Now, let me be very clear about that. Light codes are essentially coming from the sun, but it's also coming from all of what you call stars, coming from constellations, the 12, of course, you know, being the zodiac. Each zodiac has a specific space wherein this world spins. There are 12 of them around us, and we're inside of that. And everywhere we go, they are positioned in different areas as we travel around this and the sun itself. So we're inside this light fixture. Just like this light is beaming on me, that would be Aquarius. One behind me would be Leo, or all of these. So we're inside of these 12 light fixtures, and behind them there are 12 or 200 more. So we're getting all these refined form of lights. These coming together and interfacing with one another constitute the light codes that hit us finally. Okay? And as the light is hitting us, we're breathing in the residuals of those light particles that are given off. And we're getting information and messages. So, these proteins and these amino acids are micro chakras, and I'll explain all of that, all connected to the 7 primary chakras. Each microprocessor amino has a code combination. Each has a 3-letter code. So you can imagine now that the microprocessor aminos has a 3-letter code. And we're going to get into showing you how. Oh, you can just cut this part right off. A 3-letter code. These are chemical codes used to articulate different combinations of carbon, melanin, hydrogen, melanin, oxygen, melanin, and nitrogen, melanin, but that they collectively go into the constitution of aminos created to receive specific light code instructions. There are 20 known light code antenna processors presently identified by Western medical science. 20 known antenna that define the biocosmic temple we call the human body. The human genetic code is comprised of 64 possible code variations, what they call codons. Now, if you know anything about the ancient I Ching, what they call the ancient Chinese way of dealing with reading, then it's called I and then CHING, there are 64 different combinations that you could throw of the coins that they give to you. Mm-hmm. And those 64 combinations of 3 are directly linked to how the code. So if you know how to do I Ching, you can judge what is going on in the human condition based upon your sympathy with the energies of the planet. You can throw those I Ching coins, 4 I Ching coins or the 3 I Ching coins, depending on what system you use. You can throw those I Ching coins and read what's happening to you and interface, because all 64 possibilities have a code next to them that our ancient ancestors wrote down. Okay? And they're linked to the so-called DNA.
Okay, family. So that video again, that's going to be the one that we concluded. I know because we're going to get kicked off here in a minute. That's from Master Teacher Phil Valentine. Black people have extraterrestrial DNA. He was breaking down the scientific or the metaphysics of tying the structure of your DNA and how that ties back to the ancestors from an extraterrestrial sense. Okay, so we're going to wind down. So press 1 to get in the queue if you want to put something on it. Brother Window, did you have any last words for the family?
Yeah, I like Dr. Phil because he can take you way out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He can go there. He's another one I learned a lot from. That brother, he can get
you have
deep.
to have your mind right. You have to have your mind right to listen to Phil, because he take you way on out there.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. When he did a lecture breaking down the Merkaba and tying it to Kabbalah, and I was just so blown away. I had to literally watch it like, I want to say 4 times and then take notes, because I was just so blown away that he cracked that code. I'm like, whoo.
Yeah, he tied the cube, the Hodge, and all that shit together.
Yeah. I was like, man, that's like, your mind just explodes. And you have to bring it back together and redigest it. So absolutely. Okay, well, it doesn't seem like we have any calls, so I hope that you all enjoyed. We didn't get through everything, but that's just a snippet. And if you didn't get anything out of this, hopefully you got that, who you are goes far beyond what you've been traditionally taught. You are more than just this physical body, okay? You have that spiritual component side of you that is able to travel interdimensional. We talked about that several shows ago about astral travel. Now we're telling you the reason why you're able to do those things from a from a spiritual perspective is because your origins, your ancestors, you come from a much earlier advanced civilization that is encoded in your DNA. So the time that we are living in now, time / meaning emit, time, that's what time is spelled backwards, emit, which means frequency. So the level of frequency that is currently rising, what we are going to is unlocking. Your DNA is coming online. It's unlocking these special abilities that were once had way back when on this planet. Some say on this planet when Lemuria and Atlantis was here, where you will unleash those superhero powers. They are not by accident putting out these superhero movies. All of the X-Men, Generation X, that's you. Superman, that's you. Iron Man, that's you. All of these things that we discussed, even Dr. Strange, when we talked about Dr. Strange going to the different dimensions and them representing the Oort cloud, that is you. That is your makeup. That is who you are. So hopefully if you got anything out of that, enter and understand what your true origin is and start to explore and go within. What is your purpose? How do you unlock your power from a spiritual perspective to bring it back in balance, to start realizing that you are your savior? You have everything you need within yourself. And when you tap into the source of melanin, the creator of all, and you start to link up with other sources that's tapped into the creator of all, and you make things happen. You manifest. You make things move on this planet. Point blank, period. Believe it or not, the world is waiting on you. Not on a president, not on a messiah. They are waiting on you. You have the power to make it happen. So with that said, I'm going to step down off my soapbox. We're going to wrap it up. I do want to thank you all for joining us. We will be back next week. As I indicated, Brother James Dunn will be joining us. He'll be tying everything together on what the future of economics will look like. This is going to be from a metaphysics and spiritual perspective. He's going to get into the digital currency that we've been talking about over the last 2 years. So anybody that heard Brother James when he was here last month or so, that's also something you don't want to miss because the brother is pretty deep. So with that said, Brother Wendell, did you have any last words for the family?
Stay tuned and just get gooder and gooder. Just get gooder and gooder.
Absolutely, family. So we do want to thank you again. We appreciate your love and support. So with that, we're going to close out with peace, love, truth, freedom, and justice.
Freedom and justice.
One heart, one mind, and one spirit. And we're going to rock out with Tina Marie, my song, Deja Vu. This is my cut right here. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved that song, but now I know why. Okay, peace and love, family.